Well, hey there, folks. Thank you for being patient with us getting started. Trying something a little bit different this evening. For the background music, you're listening to the soundings of Ronin by Jantrax Trap Music. I will even put the description in the chat section. Dan says he and his father are seeing a movie tonight for the first time in 7 months. We're watching Lupin the Third, the First, showing the dub for one night only. Nice.
Ooh.
And I'm also popping the song information in that's in the background because, hey, I love the jazz music that we play, but every once in a while, it's nice just to offer something that a little bit different.
Variety is the spice of life.
Well, yeah, that it is. And that too is also the same for what I'm advertising for now. And Dan, I'm pretty sure you can appreciate this. I have opened up an additional Teespring store, but this one is just for, pet themed stuff only. And Dan, there's even stuff for pugs. So I'm sure that you'll find something there to your liking. And I've even asked some of the girls at work, what do you think of this? And they said this is adorable. So just need to get the word put out there, if you get my meaning. Let's see. I just need to share this on the Twitter. Alright. Live now. Alright. How you doing this evening, lads?
I'm doing good. No complaints.
How's Oni?
Oh, he's doing fine. He's Oni.
This is true. I am her sweet little Oni bear. Oni bear.
Is his computer alright? Because he had a bit of trouble with his Twitch on Friday.
Put that on a t-shirt.
Hmm?
Put that on a t-shirt, Oni Bear.
Oni bear, yes. Now, for some strange reason, Oni bear sounds like Megatron.
Which one?
Beast Wars.
Ah.
Yeah.
I'm going to be going on my Twitch stream later, Lilith. Yes. I'm going to be all sophisticated, and I'm not going to say a single bad word to MJ. In fact, I'm going to make him my mentor. And there's only listener going, "Oh, I'm so gonna kill you, dude." Oh, it's all good fun. Oh, that ended quicker than I thought. It's been a weird week, to say the least. I don't know.
Couple big news things this week, especially one I shared with a certain superhero that I love.
Is this Static Shock possibly getting a movie?
Oh yeah.
I gotta admit, that is one character, superhero-wise, that's kind of always been overlooked.
Oh yeah.
I'll actually dig up that article in just a moment. I'm just making sure that this gets shared onto the Facebook, because people need to know about the news that we bring to them. And later we go around to Oni's house and say, "Hey, can we go watch the game and dig out your Doritos?" What are you digging about my Doritos for, dude? It's mine. Besides, this powder's just for Lit. Here you go, Lit. Here's some Doritos.
Depends. Are they nacho cheese or Cool Ranch? Because I'll take either.
I try not to have the chili heat wave. I find that disagrees with me, if you get my meaning.
I understand.
Yeah.
Let's see. Let's find the article in question. Right. Copy and paste. Post that in. Right. Michael B. Jordan to produce Static Shock movie for DC Comics.
Yeah!
After weeks of speculation, Warner Bros. Is definitely working on a Static Shock flick, and the studio has some serious help in developing the project. Announced Friday afternoon, Black Panther star Michael B. Jordan is set to produce the feature alongside longtime scribe Reginald Hudlin. I'm proud to be part of building a new universe centered around black superheroes. Our community deserves that. Our Outlier Society is committed to bringing to life diverse comic book content all across platforms, and we are excited to partner with Reggie and Warner Brothers on this initial step. The THR report seemingly suggests the Static Shock film could be the center of a new cinematic universe. Oh dear, I'm worried already. Produced by Jordan and his Outlier Society banner, Outlier will be in the creative center of the Static feature, and for Jordan, a comic book fan, this is an opportunity for not only for some world building to be directly involved in franchise building, should be the first movie Spark, a hit, a multi-platform franchise could be born. Featuring the titular Static Shock, Virgil Hawkins, the character debuted as a milestone character before the Static Shock series of the early 2000s, really underrated series by the way, converted the beloved character into a household name, especially when they did that crossover with not only Batman the Animated Series, but also Batman Beyond.
Oh, yeah.
I do like it where Terry just goes, he says his name's Beyonce, whereas today we look at him and think, oh, hell no. News of the feature first surfaced during DC Fandom in August. At the time, Hudlin joined the likes of Phil Lamar and Mark Bernardin to celebrate the surprise relaunch of Milestone Comics. In the same panel, Hudlin, Bernardin, and company unveiled a feature film was in works with Warner Brothers, though they didn't elaborate any further. Hudlin, now a partner at Milestone, is helping the relaunch of the comics for DC next year. The writer himself will be at the center of the Static Shock comics series that's set for release next February. Hudlin's also penning a separate Static Shock graphic novel, as well as a series involving fellow Milestone character Icon and Rocket. All I gotta say is, color me intrigued. I look forward to seeing what we get for that. Hello to the Code 92. Dan says fantastic selection. I think he's referring to the stuff that's on the Teespring page. Also, a hornet or wasp just stung my arm. It really hurt for a while.
Ouch.
Oh, no.
Don't worry.
Hornets are bastards.
Yeah.
Hornets are dicks.
Dan says, does this mean Static could be part of a separate universe from the DCEU? I think with the way, cinematic universes have kind of been overdone, I think it would probably be a better thing if, you kind of just made a movie its own thing and then worry about turning it into some kind of cinematic universe afterwards. Kind of like how if you have like the 89 Batman movie and you just let it be its own thing, then you worry about turning it into something uber amazing into the future. And I've just put some other stuff in the background, mainly because, well, the other one wasn't filling up as much time as I thought, but this one will go on for about 3 hours, so we can always stop the music in the background, but it's something a little different. Raiden, since you brought the topic of Static Shock into the discussion, go.
Oh man, when I heard this news, I I jump for joy. Like you said before, Static Shock, in a sense, is possibly one of the most underrated superhero cartoon series of all time. It brought a lot of stuff you see in the black community, like from racism to bullying to having a disability to coping with the loss of a loved one. Thanks to the late great Dwayne McDuffie, who co-created the series, it put a stamp on pretty much history, and made a character like Virgil Hawkins the most relatable person everyone for people of color. So the fact that Michael B. Jordan is producing this, I personally can't wait, because it's been so long since we've seen Static in anything since Young Justice. I mean, it was a small sliver, which is cool, but I would love to see the character of Static return. To hear that Marvel Comics is coming back and Static doing a graphic novel, I cannot wait. That's like I said before, Static is a character that relates to a lot of people of color. So the fact that it's coming back in movie form and in comic form is something to behold. So when we get the casting, all that, I just personally can't wait to see what's gonna happen next. So I'm excited as a whole. Not to mention the way he crossed over to DC, starting with Batman. It was just amazing. So like I said before, can't wait to see what's gonna become, and I'm just excited as a whole, because Static's one of my favorite superheroes. So can't wait.
Lids?
I mean, I'm actually looking forward to this. I want to see what they do with the character, and since they've got some really good talent behind it, and I'm actually looking forward to it. It's like when it was announced, I'm like, really? Okay, let's see what they do with it, because they were talking about bringing Static into the CW show Black Lightning, and it's like, I wouldn't mind that either, but I think if they're making a movie about it, I'm cool with it, and I look forward to seeing what they do with it. The fact that Michael B. Jordan is helping give this character another shot, because again, I'm more fluent with the animated series, which was awesome when I was a kid, and again, I can't wait to see what they have with what's coming next. I look forward to it.
So, Steven. Steve?
Yeah. Oh, sorry. So, partially deaf in one ear.
Your thoughts on the fact that Static Shock is getting a movie?
Well, I look forward to it. I have to say, though, I wasn't very familiar in the beginning with Static Shock, but after seeing his appearances in the Justice League animated series and a few episodes from his show, I'm really intrigued to see what they do with their interpretation of the character.
All right.
Also, you had to admit, it had a lot of great moments. The show itself had great moments, like when Static had his first encounter with the Joker, and between the tail end, like, give me a hand, and Static was like, cool, that's cool, let me try. And then that was like, nice.
Nice. Still on the subject of movie news. Now, this was something I was going to report on last week, but we just ran out of time for it. This comes as no surprise. Jurassic World 3 is being delayed by a full year.
Damn.
Oh boy.
Well, you can blame COVID for that.
Of course.
Yeah.
Universal Pictures has pushed back the release of Jurassic World Dominion to June 2022. Life has found a way to make the wait for... Life has found a way for Jurassic World 3 a whole lot longer. Universal Pictures has opted to delay the highly anticipated sequel by a full year. The movie was previously set to release on June 11, 2021, which would have been 28 years to the day exactly since the original Jurassic Park was released. It will instead hit theaters on June 10, 2022. A day before the 29th anniversary, but let's not split hairs. The news was confirmed via the movie's social media accounts by the way of the official movie poster. The Dominion poster may soften the blow. It harkens back to the original Jurassic Park with a piece of amber at its center and the skeleton of a T-Rex encased within. Director Colin Trevorrow has described the movie as Jurassic Park 6. This artwork certainly may speak to that, not to mention having the trio of Alan Grant, Ellie Settler, and Ian Malcolm back in the same movie for the first time together since the same movie since 1993. As for its delay, it's not too surprising. Many movies have left 2020 for the hopefully greener pastures of 2021 and beyond. The box office has largely failed to come back to life even after the release of Tenet, which, on a side note, I admire the gutsy balls of Warner Brothers to just put it out, but considering it was going to have limited audience, did it really think it was going to make its money back? I don't think so.
Yeah.
Not only does next year bring with its additional uncertainty, but also with so many blockbusters shifting into 2021, there is an issue of possible overcrowding. Meanwhile, Jurassic World 3 had to halt filming back in March over health and safety concerns. It became the first major blockbuster to resume production, but the delay may have eaten into the project timeline a bit. Financially, Universal wants to do everything they can to give this movie its best shot in the marketplace. Jurassic World became one of the highest grossing movies in history in 2015, earning $1.66 billion globally, even though after inflation Jurassic Park still did better. 2018's Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom faltered critically but still earned a truly impressive $1.3 billion. It stands to reason that Dominion has the chance to be a similarly massive hit. Plot remains under wraps, which is refreshing for a Hollywood movie these days. Chris Pratt, who returns as Owen Grady, previously likened it to Avengers Endgame, saying everyone is in it. Bryce Dallas Howard will also be returning as Claire Deering. The movie will be picking up in the aftermath of 2018's Fallen Kingdom, which saw Isla Nublar wiped off the map by a volcanic eruption. The surviving dinosaurs were brought onto the mainland and are now living among humans. Last year's live-action short Battle of Big Rock gave us a taste of the chaos that will bring. This is just the latest movie to delay its release. Marvel's Black Widow and the new James Bond movie No Time to Die recently pushed back to 2021. But here's the thing. With Bond, it's not so much of the COVID, it's because test audiences looked at it and said, it sucks, do it better. Warner Bros. Also recently shuffled it into its entire release calendar, taking Dune out of December of this year and into October of next year. That has left movie theaters on an uncertain ground as they're facing a dire financial situation. Only one can hope that theaters aren't extinct by June 2022. Given the way Hollywood is going by pushing social agendas, it may make you wonder.
Oh dear.
Yeah.
We'll be sure to keep you posted as any further details are made available. Be sure to check out this poster from the Jurassic World Twitter account. It's going to be an interesting few years to see what we get given with regards to movies. Because first and foremost, governments of the world need to get a whole grip on the coronavirus situation, because
seriously, man. It's like it's so half and half. Where we're at, the States, they're They're so concerned about the election and not about doing a vaccine, which is very trouble. If they're not going to do that, we're going to get more cancellations, and Lord knows we don't need that. Especially when the Olympics are coming next summer, and they're gonna have to cancel that again, had to postpone that again. Like that's money being wasted. Lord knows they don't like doing that.
And the other problem that you've also got is people still not listening to reason. They are told, you want this thing to go away. The most that you can do that can affect the biggest change. When they say keep 6 feet away from each other, just keep 6 feet away from each other. And when they also say don't go to large gatherings, please, for the good Lord above, please don't go to large gatherings. Why do you think cases are on the up again? This is why people that are, have vulnerability, where they have underlying issues or whether their health is not what it once was, they have to stay in isolation, while those with more or less perfect health are able to recover from these things. This is why people like Wynn can't go out at the moment, because as it's been documented, she has said that she's got underlying concerns. And she's not able to venture out. So, not to get up on my podium, which is something I try not to do, but she wants to be able to go out. People, keep 6 feet apart from each other, wear a mask. If you have the virus, do yourself a favor, please stay home. If you really need your 40 or your 6, or your 40 ounce of beer, or you need a Domino's that bad, there's a little thing called delivery service. I mean, there's a story from a town called Burnham-on-Sea, and this happened round about Independence Day weekend, which this kind of sets the tone for how this is going to be, because, Independence Day weekend, a lot of people are going to get drunk, whether the ban was lifted or not. This guy had already tested positive for the virus, yet he went out anyway into at least 2 different bars and 2 takeout joints, and because of that, said establishments had to close down for the better part of a month until they got given the all clear.
Oh my lord!
And he got arrested for essentially bioterrorism. Even though all he wanted to do was just go grab a beer. If you want to go grab a beer that badly, call one of your buddies up, leave at least 2 to 3 6-packs of, lager, Stella, whatever you're drinking, and then just pay him over PayPal. It's that simple.
Or do a takeout.
Well, that too. I mean, but if you had friends that could do a delivery run for him, it's like all you'd have to do, drop a couple of beers at the door, they back off, he takes them in, and they just pay him over PayPal, because then he doesn't have to hand them money that they can come in contact with. Because last time I checked, you can't get infected by digital money. Give them time. But yeah. And Dan's saying, oh, I'm liking some of this in the comments section. Sean says some people are just stupid. I agree with the sentiment, dude, but calling them stupid at this point would be a compliment. And he goes, and by some, I mean a lot. Again, we're sticking with compliments here. Co92 says, if people just follow the damn rules, and this pandemic would be over with sooner than later. First of all, everyone, round of applause for Co92. Saying what we all need to hear. So, come on. See, this is why he's the commander. This is why Stephen is Sir Stephen. Raiden is the Savage Raiden, and Lids, well, don't ever knock over her beer, knock over Oni, and then Marge and Lydia will come out, and then we're all fucked.
Okay if I say something? Because ever since the whole lockdown and everything went nuts, my grandmother has not been able to go out and do anything that she enjoys. She hasn't been up to my grandfather's grave in who knows how long. She can't go out to do her daily shop because she's over 80 at the moment, and So she's having to be stuck at home all the time, and it's really affecting her mentally.
I feel
And
you,
because
man.
of these, because of these assholes who refuse to listen to the rules, it's only making it go longer.
Yeah. We all feel you, dude. We all get it. Let's read a couple of more comments in the thing there. Dan saying, does that mean the T-Rex will save the day by snapping his fingers while using the Infinity Stones to wipe the bad dinosaurs away? Dude, let's not give him ideas, shall we?
I'm not sure if they have two-fingered Infinity Gauntlets.
No, but Tony Stark. Although, if the original way that would have happened with Tony Stark snapping his fingers originally, the rebuttal of "and I am Iron Man" was not going to be the rebuttal to Thanos, because it would have gone down originally as "I am inevitable." You see the Infinity Stones go up onto Iron Man's gauntlet. His retort would have been, "Fuck you, Thanos."
I would have loved that.
But I think the way that it just, the whole MCU began with "I am Iron Man" to end with "and I am Iron Man." It's just like, yeah. It's like, I am inevitable. Yeah, well, I'm Iron Man. I think that works better. Sean says, I think the T-Rex would turn us into dinosaurs. Actually, I think that was a plot that they actually had on an episode of Darkwing Duck one time. Yeah.
Speaking of that, DuckTales is doing a special on that.
Oh.
The new DuckTales.
Yeah.
Ooh.
And why does Darkwing have a Jarvis?
Because basically this is newer-ish Darkwing Duck, since the original actor of it is now Negaduck.
Yeah.
Well,
voiced by the same guy who voiced the original Darkwing Duck.
Jim Cummings.
That's just the thing. That's just the thing, though. That I don't have an issue with. What I have the issue with is the new guy they've got. Now, to be fair, he's trying. I do like the fact he's trying, but I don't know. Makes you question, where would Darkwing have gotten the money and the intel to be able to have that? I mean, I like the fact the hideout is still in the bridge. I'll give them props for being faithful, but I don't know. Anyway, we're kind of getting off on track of the original topic, and this is kind of one of the recurring problems with this podcast. We do tend to sort of go off topic for too long. I'm not surprised in the slightest that Jurassic World 3 is being delayed by a full year. I mean, even if they were able to get all the filming done and complete, you would essentially be rushing post-production, and CG is not one of those things that you can just cram it through, because if you rush it, it's going to show. So I think the decision to delay it for a full year makes a lot of sense, although I might be in a small group of this. Wouldn't it be more apropos to release this on the 30th anniversary of the original?
That would make sense, but from what I've seen with just this whole thing with the movie, it's like common sense has not been their saving grace.
Yeah. I mean, from what I'm hearing, it's basically going to be more like a direct sequel to the original Jurassic Park, because apparently there's even like a flashback scene to referencing both Isla Nublar and Isla Sorna, and I'm glad Sorna is going to be addressed because it hasn't been mentioned whatsoever in this trilogy. And when it goes and says in the movie website of the Masrani Corporation that all the dinosaurs from Site B were transferred to Nublar, it's like I've said down the years before. If that's the case, where are the legions of velociraptors from Jurassic Park 3? Where is the T-Rex family? And where's the Spinosaur? So, I'm glad that we're going to get some questions answered as to how this movie is going to be essentially tying up loose ends from the first Jurassic Park and have some sort of full closure, because there have been sequels to the original but never direct sequels that, you know, closes up all the character ends and what have you. And plus, to have the original trio back in one movie at the same time will be very fulfilling. And it's always good to have Jeff Goldblum in a movie. I'm glad the guy's getting so much work now. Ever since like a few years ago, he kind of drifted off the map. Ever since, you know, he came back into Fallen Kingdom, he's in demand again. And the fact that he was brought in as a voiceover for Jurassic World Evolution on the Xbone and the PS4 and Steam, and the fact that he reprised his role as a younger Ian Malcolm for Return to Jurassic Park on Jurassic World Evolution, which, by the way, folks, go play that. It will be like taking control of Jurassic Park the way you wanted it and how you wanted it. It's a small extra price to pay as an expansion pack, but so worth it. Hashtag not sponsored. I've played it. I go back to it whenever I get the chance. It is well worth the price of admission. And how many times can you go onto a game and say, oh, I'm going to go build Jurassic Park today? You know, just those little things that makes, you know, my younger MJ happy. It makes Raiden's younger Raiden very happy. He's like, ooh, yes. Open the raptor pen. Go get all the stupid people. Yes, go, my little pets. Go get the stupid people. You will take these L's. Yes.
Yeah. Don't give me ideas.
So you wouldn't want them that says, oh, the last thing you see before the raptor gets you, an L will flash before you.
I love it.
Oh, God. And the other last thing you see before things black out, you see lids go,Oni's going to get you. I'm just kidding. But, yeah. Not surprised in the slightest, at least. And this is something I've been very adamant with ever since the lockdown happened. Movie studios now have extra time to work on the editing for these movies, just so that, you know, not taking their time so that, you know, they only do a frame, you know, 1 week at a time. You know, like being pretentious and what have you, but they really get to look and think, do we really need those extra 3 seconds in the middle? Because that's, you know, it just feels like there's dead air for the sake of dead air. Because one of the things that people were very critical of with the first Amazing Spider-Man is that in editing, they would notice sometimes it would cut to black real quickly, and then suddenly go back to the picture, and I'm like, huh, okay. And also, I think for Amazing Spider-Man 2, they had like 4 to 6 editors. I'm like, I can understand 2, because sometimes you need like a fresh set of eyes just to see if something works or not. But 6, that says your movie's beyond in trouble. Your movie doesn't have a prayer. And like I say, the fact that they've got a full year, they can work on the CG properly, they can do the editing justice the way it should be, and considering this will be a year shy of the 30th anniversary of the original Jurassic Park, like, you guys have the chance to do this justice. And this movie will be coming out the same year that Sonic the Hedgehog 2 comes into theaters.
Ooh.
So,
Wow.
2022, we've already got 2 big hitters. Jurassic World 3 and Sonic the Hedgehog 2, or Sonic the Hedgehog, A Tale of Two Tales. Paramount, you can have that free of charge. Just make sure you credit me as guy who gave you the subheading. Thank you very much. Thank you very, very much. Now I can finally go give Oni the keys to his pickup, but then Liz takes on it. Nope!
No.
But Liz, I wanted to go spin around the block a couple of times. You were going to go round to James E. Cornett's house and throw eggs. Yes.
Oh God.
And then I was going to and you weren't going to visit the Young Bucks, were you?
Oh no.
Okay, I was.
Oh, does he really want to piss off the Young Bucks, especially the way they're acting lately?
Raiden, this is Oni. You're answering your own question.
Okay, well, I hope he doesn't come crying to me when he gets super kicked multiple times. But on the good note, at least the genuine after they super kick you, they pay you lots of money.
Yeah. Anyway, after going on to multiple tangents, but very entertaining ones, I might add too. Not surprised in the slightest. Hope it really turns out the way we want it to. All I'm gonna say, because number 3 will close this trilogy out, because we know there's going to be more Jurassic movies coming. All I'm gonna say is, leave it 4 or 5 years before the next one, but do us a solid. Don't leave it as long as last time between Jurassic Park 3 and Jurassic World. That was way too long.
Oh God.
I mean, looking back at Jurassic Park 3, hindsight being what it is, it's not really hard to understand why the franchise stalled for so long, because the way they left it, compared to Jurassic Park and Lost World, Jurassic Park 3 is like Batman and Robin. Yes, I said it. Come at me.
Damn.
Oh God.
I mean, it's such a huge fall from grace. I mean, Jurassic Park is at the same level as that of, say, Batman 89 and the first Iron Man. Lost World, not quite on par with the original, but it's still entertaining enough to where you think, yeah, I can come back into this. Jurassic Park 3 is, like I say, it's like Iron Man 3 and Batman and Robin. You're like, oh, come on, man, what the hell? You know, Oni at his drunkest would be like, nope, I need more beer for this.
But you've already had.
Do you have proof on how much? Do you have proof on how drunk he is when it comes to his opinion?
I've heard of the drunken outlandings that he's had sometimes when we've done outtakes on RDR. So much so, one time he said he loved L-Man.
Oh my god.
Oh damn.
And we're like, Odie, how much have you had? I don't know, 6?
Whoa, blimey.
Granted, he was probably doing it for exaggeration, but the point still stands. Anyway, we're tangenting far too long. I've said what I needed to. Steve, your thoughts on the fact that the movie's been delayed by a full year? Yay, nay, or you just see it as logical?
It makes sense, but I know it would be good in timing it for 2023, but as much with other films, if they're delayed to the point where it gets ridiculous, people begin to lose interest in the film.
I feel you.
That being said, I've linked to a video done by a Jurassic World vlogger who found some very interesting tidbits and pictures from the sets, which may hint at where the franchise might go after Dominion.
We'll check that out in a bit.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have anything further to add?
I look forward to it, and I can understand why pushing it back from an already crowding year of films next year. It makes perfect sense to do so.
Lids?
I mean, yeah, it's an inevitability that all of these movies are getting pushed back another year because we don't know what's going to happen with with the virus and whether or not they're going to get a vaccine out anytime soon. But again, I look forward whenever these movies come out, but it's probably going to take a long while because people are dragging their feet because they don't want because that making a virus costs money, or making a cure to the virus costs money, and people are dragging their feet. That's all I'm going to say. But the point is, I look forward whenever they come out. Just ignore my weird conspiracy theories. The point is, I look forward to whenever these movies are going to come out.
Raiden, go. Raiden?
Yeah, like everyone said, it's not surprising, especially how this damn pandemic is not going to go anytime soon. For some people, you know, it's up to me. I would definitely like cut down on the timing because, yeah, Jurassic World was way too long for its own good. Fallen Kingdom didn't help either, especially with this exposition that people really didn't give a shit about. You know, I mean, no disrespect the kid who was
Isabella Sermon.
Isabel, yeah. No respect to her, but do people really give a crap about she's a clone and everything? I mean, it's interesting, but the way they did it was like, yeah. So, yeah, I'm just hoping with this they end the series. They end the series right, or I mean, like you said before, you know Hollywood, you know how they operate. But yeah, I'm just hoping it has a definitive ending, because the more people wait for this, the more you're gonna get a lot of exposition that people don't need. So that's where I'm at with it. Am I looking forward to it? Kinda, even though Fallen Kingdom didn't really help. So yeah, I'm just hoping things end well. That's all it is for me.
Yeah, because based upon what Trevorrow's, the only things that he's been giving any kind of leaks about with regards to the plot is that this movie is more like the original Jurassic Park. And I'm like, okay. But there's being like it, and then there's just straight up lifting plot points and aspects, scene for scene. It's one thing if you do plot points that have been inspired and you do your own spin and make it your own thing. That's completely different, because there's as I said, a huge difference between inspired by and then just straight up ripping off. I mean, I didn't see this until it was pointed out to me years later, the way that the 98 Godzilla would straight up lift scenes from the original Jurassic Park, like when you see all the infant children putting their noses up against the glass door and breathing on it like the raptors, and them trying to open doors and snapping at people. I was like, oh good lord, I've seen that movie for so many years, it never occurred to me. The only differences between Godzilla and Jurassic Park is Jurassic Park actually had a cohesive plot. Whereas, as much as I enjoyed the 98 movie, and, as a dumb Hollywood action movie, it serves what it needs to do. But it tried to take itself seriously, and you ripped off of Jurassic Park.
Not what it's supposed to be from a Godzilla movie.
I know, I mean, if you actually had Godzilla like Sunday walking around and his vision was only based on movement, it'd be like, what? The only things that I actually enjoyed about that movie, first off, I thought the visual effects were fine. I was actually one of the few people that actually liked the design of the G-Man as one of the characters would call him in the animated series, which, by the way,
Randy.
Thank you. Which, by the way, that animated series is so underrated.
Which animated series are you talking about?
Godzilla.
Godzilla the series.
Oh yeah, that was pretty good. Not gonna lie.
And funny thing, Randy, voiced by Rino Romano, who you also know better as the Batman.
And also Spider-Man in that PS1 game.
And Spider-Man Unlimited.
Yep.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that. That's another underrated series that got cut too soon.
And has to be said, Ian Ziering actually made Nico Totopoulos a badass in that series. He took no crack. To be fair to Broderick, he was just doing what he was paid to do, and that's be Matthew Broderick. Whereas Ian, in that animated series, turned him into an action star. And this is also the same guy that not only voiced Harry Osborn in the MTV Spider-Man series, but you also know him better as Vinny from Biker Mice from Mars.
Wow.
Oh, right,
Whoa,
yeah.
Really?
Yep, Ian Ziering. He played Vinny.
I did not know that.
That's neat.
Mind blown.
And Dorian Harewood, who plays Modo in that series, he played War Machine in Iron Man the Animated Series Season 2. I enjoyed James Avery's take on War Machine in the first season, and whenever he guest starred in a couple of Spider-Man episodes, but Dorian Harewood added his own flair, and when you get a voice that just fits the character better, like, for example, this will be prevalent to me and Win. When you hear Zelgadis Grey Words for the first time in Slayers in the first season, you had a guy come in called Daniel Cronin. Reasonably good, reasonably likable enough. Then you hear Crispin Freeman, it's like, perfect. That's perfect. I mean, like another example. 96 animated series of The Hulk. You hear the original voice actress for She-Hulk and Jennifer Walters. Yeah, she's cool, she's nice. And as you hear Cree Summer, love her. Love her. Total sass. And, well, I will say, when I was a much younger knight, I had a bit of a crush on She-Hulk, but then again, I was early to mid-teens, so what are you gonna do? But Kree was just a better fit for the character in the same way. You hear Jaleel White's voice coming out of Sonic, perfect fit. You hear Patrick Stewart's voice coming out of Winter's mouth in the 2007 Ninja Turtles. It's a perfect fit. Anytime you hear Robbie Wrist voicing Mikey, and Raider will agree, perfect.
Oh yeah.
So you get the right voice actor, or you get the right actor for it, and it's just like, it just works. In the same context of, if you had gotten somebody else to play Phoebe Buffay on Friends instead of Lisa Kudrow, would it be the same? Chances are probably not. If you got someone else other than Matt LeBlanc to play Joey, would it be the same? And here's something else that some of you may or may not know. Chandler Bing was originally going to be played by Charlie Sheen.
What?
Oh, okay, that would have been weird.
Yeah.
It's not to say that I couldn't have seen it working, only because I find with Matthew Perry, even when he's being sarcastic and being snarky, there's an air of not quite wholesome, but not quite seedy. He has that right level. Whereas when Charlie Sheen does it, you know it's coming from a natural place of crass and snarky, but it works. I mean, that's why he's able to make the character of Charlie Harper work for as long as he did, because he was essentially playing himself. But the idea of him playing Chandler, I don't know. I mean, that'd be like if they were going to, let's just say for the sake of discussion, they're going to hit the reset button on the MCU and do everything over again from scratch. In terms of awkward miscasting, that would be like Will Ferrell playing Tony Stark.
Okay, no.
April Balby playing Captain Marvel, which would have been an interesting perspective, and playing Black Panther, Chris Rock.
What?
No!
Could you imagine Chris Rock as Black Panther?
No.
Oh my god, I can't. Next year he's gonna be part of that soft spin-off Spiral. So I mean, he can play serious roles, but him as Black Panther, I don't buy that at all.
That's what I mean. You know, the sort of miscasting. I mean, although there was one time they almost got Jeff Goldblum to play Dr. Banner.
That could actually work. That could actually work.
I know they tried to get David Duchovny one time, and I don't know. I mean, he's a great actor, but I couldn't see him playing Bruce.
Yeah. I mean, with Jeff Goldblum, he fits the aesthetic of Bruce Banner, so.
Although this almost happened once when they were trying to get the casting of the original Tim Burton Batman, they almost got Bill Murray.
Oh,
wow.
Wait, what?
Mm-hmm.
That ain't gonna work.
If it was a parody Batman movie, then okay. But
For some reason I feel almost the Adam West era kind of Batman.
yeah, except Bill Murray's would have been much snarkier and much more crass jokes. I mean, considering some of the jokes, like I've said so many times before, in the 84 Ghostbusters movie, there's quite a few instances that's tiny bit on the creepy and suspect side, because he goes over to Dana Barrett's apartment after Dana has met Zool. He basically puts her on roofies just to keep her out cold. I'm like, wait, you were taking her over to your apartment? It's like, dude, what were you doing?
Oh, no.
Oh, stranger danger, stranger danger.
I need an adult.
I need an adult.
And the irony of it, Dr. Venkman is an adult.
Oh, no, he is not.
No, he ain't. I love Venkman, but bruh, he is immature as fuck.
I mean, he comes out with some of the best one-liners in that movie. I'll grant you that.
Yeah.
But it always goes back to this scene. Oh, that's the bedroom, but then nothing ever happened in there. What a crime. And as like I've said so many times before, when you're really young, it flies over your head and you think, what do you mean? You know, what a crime not to have fun in your bedroom. Whereas when you're 18 and you can put 2 and 2 together, you're like, oh. It's like, that feels really awkward.
Just like that reminds me of a line in Who Framed Roger Rabbit, when Eddie Valiant is talking to Baby Herman. Not sure whether I should be saying it on the stream though.
Type it in Discord.
Yeah.
Okay. There.
Oh God.
Yeah. Trouble is,
Oh, no.
the way the dialogue was written for that, it was meant to be reflecting late 1940s, and you have to remember, there were many things said back then which was socially acceptable while still frowned upon, whereas now, no longer socially acceptable and heavily frowned upon.
Mm-hmm. So ready to check out the link?
Yeah, may as
Might as well.
All right, let me
Grab my headset.
let me chill the beat a minute.
Mm-hmm. Because I think you may be interested with this bit of news.
I usually have a lot of interest in what Clayton has to say. Right, hang on. Hit the pause. Raise the volume on that just a tiny bit. Okay. Yep. According to Altiori, there are now trigger warnings on the new Peter Pan. Great.
Oh no!
Which one?
Native American.
Oh yeah, Native Americans, and the same thing with the Black Crows in Dumbo.
Oh.
Yeah, there's actually a topic.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. What makes the red man red?
Ooh.
Ready?
Yes, sir.
I'm ready.
Okay, in 3, 2, 1, play.
Hey guys, hope you're all doing well. Now for today's video, I wanted to talk about the new species that Colin Trevorrow recently shared in the public. Jurassic World Dominion is going to show us all kinds of new prehistoric animals when it comes out, and not all of them are going to be dinosaurs.
What?
I wanted to pet the baby.
So just yesterday, Colin posted this image of a brand new practical effect on set with a cleverly
What
placed
the
mask
fuck is that?
what the animal looked like underneath. The image came coupled with the news that some members of Dominion's crew have unfortunately tested positive.
Oh my god, please do not tell me they're doing the whole human dinosaur hybrid thing because, okay.
Since the movie was pushed all the way back to 2022, I don't really think that's going to affect the overall film much at all.
That just looks
this
creepy.
Animal that Colin Trevorrow teased us with has opened up a lot of interesting discussion in the fan base.
It's not a dinosaur, but it is a prehistoric creature.
So not too long after Colin showed off that image,
yeah,
the new
it doesn't look like a dinosaur. It looks like
Steve
something
Brussati
else.
teased that it might not be a dinosaur. And Dr. Henry Wu's actor B.D. Wong also made a clever little joke that this is what he had been working on in the meantime since last we saw him on film. Finally, paleontologist
I knew it!
who is a friend of the channel and somebody who, if you all remember, I had specifically asked about the science behind the Tyrannosaurus Rex blood transfusion scene from Fallen Kingdom, asked Colin Trevorrow whether or not this new animal happened to be a Lystrosaurus, and Colin responded soon after, confirming that, yeah, that's exactly what it is. So, what is a Lystrosaurus? Well, these little guys are known as shovel lizards, which lived back in the early Triassic and even all the way back to the late Permian period, making them by far
more closely
the
related to mammals than they were
clones
lizards
that have ever been featured on screen in the movie series. Now all we need is that giant dragonfly from the Jurassic Park novel to come out and one-up it. Anyways, Lystrosaurs come
Oh god, no!
Tusks underneath their mask. And they've also got a beak that scientists have presumed could have come in handy when it was trying to forage
that's not cute.
bite into or shear vegetation. Now, one of the things that you will probably have picked up on immediately upon first seeing this image is that this animal actually has very noticeable hairs sticking out of its upper skull. You may also notice that the skin of Lystrosaurus looks quite different to the more scaly attributes of what we've come to see from Jurassic Park animals before in the past, and the general gait of this animal is much more sprawling when compared to other four-legged creatures in the series. Well, this is due to the fact that Lystrosaurus is not a dinosaur. It's actually what is known as a Dicynodonttherapsid, which were warm-blooded, hairy little things that, get this, survived the mass extinction that took place in between the Permian and Triassic.
Holy shit, really?
They're pretty well adapted for survival. Just one little side note I'm going to throw in here. I'm actually a massive fan of Enostransevia, which is not really related to this guy at all. In fact,
sort
it's
of like
completely different. So this made me really
kind of like a
excited to see
saber-toothed
something
T-Rex
vaguely
that walked on all
resemblant
fours.
show up on set for a new Jurassic World movie.
I'd love to see if they would include that in the next
It leads to several questions
Jurassic
being asked
movie.
about
Personally,
or what is making it, and ultimately for what purpose. Now, in the past, Colin Trevorrow has mentioned that he's given a lot of thought into what kinds of creatures would make for good pets if these prehistoric species still existed, and he even mentioned Microceratus specifically when it came to such an idea. The reason I bring this up is because I think it's very possible that Dr. Wu or Biosyn or whoever is behind the cloning of this little guy more than likely is making them in order to be sold as pets. And if this actually isn't the train of thought that the filmmakers are going with, then maybe this animal and others were specifically cloned to be used in animal testing, which is something that Dodson actually talks about with Jeff Rossiter in the Lost World novel. Living animals have real-world advocates that try to campaign for their rights. But if you've created an animal, if you've made it, you patented it, you own it. So I'm sure you can see where Biosyn would want to go with that. Anyways, guys, this is all brand new information that we don't really have too much context for just yet, but it's still super fun to talk about. And by the way, if you want a really good source on YouTube to learn a little more about Lystrosaurus, check out the channel called Ancient Life. It's honestly great and doesn't have anywhere near the amount of recognition that it deserves. So I'm going to provide a link to it down in the description below. Now, with all of that being said, what do all of you guys think about Lystrosaurus being added to Dominion? What do you think this could mean for the story, and how much do you think we will see of it in the next Jurassic World movie? Whatever your own thoughts and opinions happen to be, I'd love to hear them in the comments down below.
Well, it's an interesting angle to play it at with animals that are going to be possibly older than the dinosaurs themselves, but I feel like it's kind of defeating the purpose of Jurassic Park, which it's a dinosaur movie. I don't know. we'll have to see how that plays out. And for some strange reason, that is actually focusing on I don't know why it's focusing on that. That is really weird. Yeah, for some strange reason on the control page it's I see. Right, shouldn't yeah, for some strange reason it was focusing on the actual control page of the live stream and not where it was supposed to. Oh. This is going to be a theme this evening, I think.
Oh, more gremlins in the system?
It wouldn't surprise me. Let me just check on the thing a second just to make sure that it is supposed to be focusing on what it's supposed to be focusing. No, according to this, it is supposed to be just focusing on where it's supposed to be. So I don't know why it was focusing on the former. So that's incredibly weird. Like I say, it'll be interesting to see where it goes, but it also raises the question of it was difficult enough for them to recreate dinosaurs from amber, because you got to remember dinosaur blood is 65 to 65 to maybe 225 million years old, and you're looking to possibly go back even further with that. I'm just going to get the imager just to focus on something else a minute, because this is really bothering me, the way the live stream is focusing on something else. Alright. Seriously, focus on that one, will ya? Sorry about this, folks. Technical difficulties this evening. Right. Okay. Please just focus on that. Thank you very much. Oh, that's better. I don't know what scientific information they're going to have with that, because they've only just managed to get blood out of a 100,000-year-old mastodon. So to be able to get intact blood and DNA from, say, a 65-million-year-old T-Rex fossil, because what you got to remember is DNA degrades over time. Like, I think every 300 years or so, the strand just whittles down. So let's just see how many times DNA would break down, let's say, over 65 million years. Divide that by 3. 21 million times. So your chances of finding an intact DNA strand of a T-Rex, not very likely. You might be able to do what struggling to remember this paleontologist's name now. Jack Horner, with what he's doing with the Chickenosaurus, which is reactivating dormant genes that, because in each living organism are the ancestral DNA of the form of the life form that you've descended from. So from a tiger's perspective, if you have the resources and the funding necessary, you probably could find a way of genetically altering a tiger into a saber-toothed tiger, if you had the time and resources for it. In the same manner,
that'd be awesome. that'd be awesome, but that's considered playing with God.
Yeah, and what do you think man has been doing for the last 150 years, dude?
You're right.
I mean, test tube babies.
Yeah.
Now, while some could see this as playing around too much with nature, there's a thing that some geneticists are working on referring to as designer babies. And this is what they mean by that. Imagine being able to design your child with regards to what hair color they'll have, what eye color they'll have, what face shape they'll have. But the other ones that they were looking into that got a lot of people thinking is, what if you could go into the DNA of that and remove any hereditary disease that has been in your family? So imagine there are members of your family that have had male pattern baldness, diabetes, dementia, or even cancer. Imagine being able to take that out of your unborn child's genetic code so that when they're born, they're not passing any of that on to the next generation after that. While some people look at that as playing nature, this is one of those times where I'm like, you always want the best for your kids. And this is one of those times where I would look the other way with it. Because in my family, not to get on too much of a personal thing, I pretty much have all those sort of things happen in my family's history, and I would rather not see it happen to any other member of my family. Heck, I wouldn't even want to see this happen to any of my enemies. Not that I think that they deserve. Not that I would like to see them, do well at anything. I wouldn't want them to go out to something nasty. They're never going to be on my Christmas card list, but at the same time, I just don't want to see people go out that way. That's just not me. So, being able to look at how you could say, take a chicken and reverse engineer it to where you could essentially turn it into either a baby T-Rex or even a velociraptor, because all theropod dinosaurs in some shape or form are related to each other. Raptors are from the same families that have T-Rex, Megalosaurus, Allosaurus, the list goes on. I would at least like to see Horner being able to just say that he was able to do this, where you actually would see the first living dinosaur hatch out for the first time in 65 million years, just so that, for one thing, we could have a couple of questions answered. How would they move? How would they sound? How would they behave? How would they reproduce? All these sort of questions that we've had on our minds for years, and the answers would probably raise more questions. But the point still stands. From a scientific perspective, it would answer a few questions. Yes, there are those that say, yes, you're playing around with things you're not supposed to, but as I mentioned earlier, that's not stopped mankind from doing that in the last near 200 years. And who keeps exiting in and out?
That's me. Discord's being a butthead.
Oh, not again.
I don't know. It's interesting with some of the ideas that are probably going to go forward. With the third Jurassic World movie, it'll just have to wait and see what will happen, going further afield. Steve, since you were the one to bring this video into discussion, your thoughts?
It just makes me wonder where they're going to go with it. It might be that the Lystrosaurus might be only just make a brief appearance, then that be used later down the road in another movie it might start a new trilogy where they involve other companies like trying to do rival cloning projects. Because the information, with the end of Fallen Kingdom, they've shown that the information is not just in the hands of InGen anymore. They've got dinosaurs going all around the country and possible scientists working away at their own labs trying to develop their own things. Like opening Pandora's box.
Well, again, not to beat on a repetitive note, mankind's been doing that for years, so why should this stop them now?
Yeah. But it just opens up a whole realm of possibility for other things that they could introduce in the future. Maybe not under the Jurassic banner, but under a new banner, perhaps.
Alright. Let's...
I mean, it looks interesting. The fact that they're not just relying on just dinosaur heavy, like reptiles, that they're going with something that's a little different. I think it kind of looks like a reptile, but it's something a little bit out of the normal, typical, like, ferocious creature, where it doesn't look scary. It just looks like it was adapted for survival. And the fact hearing that this thing survived the mass extinction, I'm like, okay, all right. So for that matter, you can probably get like a whole skeleton out of that to find its DNA. So who knows? I'm excited to see like different variety of creatures than the typical, the ones that we've seen before, the T-Rex, the Velociraptor, or them creating Mary Sue dinosaurs. Looking at you, Indominus Rex. I'm looking at you.
Well,
it looks interesting. So it's like I want to see where they go or what other creatures that they can come up with. If they bring in the giant flying insectoid, like freaking dragonfly, I'm like done. I'm leaving. Bye bye.
Well, Trevorrow has confirmed that they're not going to be doing hybrid clones.
Oh, thank God!
Thank God.
Yeah, the Indoraptor was the last of it. I mean, with Jurassic World, it did leave me thinking that it was only a matter of time before they were going to start doing a Mixosaurus, for lack of a better description, but it didn't have a great reception, and the Indoraptor probably had even less, because they were attempting to pass it off as something new and original, but they go and say it's part I-Rex and part Velociraptor, and then we point out the I-Rex was already part raptor, so it's just more raptor. It's just one of those things that just made no lick of sense. But the only thing that they carried over from World to Fallen Kingdom is that you have Hoskins saying, imagine the I-Rex at a fraction of the size that it was, and they followed up with that. The only thing that I was a little disappointed with, the I-Rex was capable of camouflage. So imagine the Indoraptor that could camouflage and sneak up on you, and you wouldn't know it. Yeah.
That sounds like a horror movie.
Well, again, that's what they were going for, and, the fact they had J.A. Bayona, who is an acclaimed horror movie director, say what we will about Fallen Kingdom's plot and what have you, but the guy was a damn good director. He got the best out of his actors. And at some stage with Dominion, we need to see the first ever meeting of Owen Grady and Dr. Alan Grant, and Grant possibly having his first meeting with Blue. And it wouldn't be a Jurassic Park movie unless we get Rexy making an appearance, although some are speculating what if this is her last movie? Because she's not a young Tyrannosaur anymore. Because she was 30 by the time they got to Fallen Kingdom. And it's believed in the animal kingdom of which she was from, most Tyrannosaurs were lucky if they could make it into their 20s. I mean, something like Brachiosaurus, they reckon a Brachiosaur could live to be 120 if it wanted to. But T-Rex, I don't know. It's not to say they can't come up with, more Tyrannosaurs, because if Isla Sorna is brought back into it, maybe we'll see the bull T-Rex again. But I don't know. Raiden, did we get your thoughts on this, or did you already say?
I didn't get it yet.
Go ahead, man.
Yeah, like I just said, I'm just glad they're not doing that animal hybrid shit anymore. That shit was just getting annoying. They've been doing that since Jurassic Park 3, I believe.
Yeah.
Am I right? Yeah. I know that movie is ass butter. I know MJ can talk shit about that till he dies, along with last night. But yeah, I'm just glad they're not doing that hybrid shit anymore. At least they're doing something natural instead. So with this new mysterious dino, I hope things go well, not like overblown. And like I said, that whole Isabella thing, like, enough of those plot lines. That shit was just not fun to go back to. I mean, to be fair, I've watched I only watched Fallen Kingdom once, and only once, thank God. The only time I watched it again was thanks to Dead Meat, and yeah, just that whole plotline can just go fuck itself. I'm sorry, but yeah, I'm just hoping no more crazy plot lines like that, and just things have all natural with the reunion of the original Jurassic Park squad. So hopefully with this new dino, things get a little better.
Yeah. It was brought up, actually, since we're already on the page in question that I've got the browser set to, we may as well just get on to the list. WWE lists the top challengers for every Raw title. Monday Night Raw will show off its fully updated roster this week, coming off the heels of the draft. It looks like the social media team has already tipped its hand regarding the roster's pecking order. Now, would this the Mr. Popo's pecking order?
Oh God, that's a pecking order. Even Vince don't want to fuck with.
It's the 6th rule of Popo's training.
Yeah.
On Sunday, their Instagram account launched a poll to its fans asking them who should be the next contender for each of the Red Brands championships. The post gave them a list of 4 names for each title, starting with Bray Wyatt, Braun Strowman, Jeff Hardy, and AJ Styles as the next challenger for the WWE title. Raw Roundup selecting 7 former world champions throughout the draft, so McIntyre's list of possible opponents could be lengthy if he manages to retain against Randy Orton against Hell in a Cell. Spoiler alert, yes he will, because Randy Orton's, we don't want Orton as champion, no.
Even though the guy outside of it is much better person than he was before.
True, but I think it's still a little too early, and also I have a suspect feeling Orton will be screwed out of the belt by Edge. I think Edge will appear when he released this, because this is not the first time Edge has surprised, people in a match and cost somebody the belt in Hell in a Cell. Survivor Series 2007, Undertaker and Batista.
Yeah, remember that?
And
that was a decent Hell in a Cell.
And here's the thing: Batista has never beaten Edge. but he never will now.
Yep. You're absolutely right. Never has beat him.
Nope. The most notable name on the list is Keith Lee. By the way, I love that guy's promo skills. Very different.
Very eloquent, very soft-spoken. Not like anyone you see from the WWE.
Yep.
If only they gave him better attire, because the stuff they got him wearing is so lame.
Yeah.
Who was listed?
Even though on Payback I did like his little tribute to Broly.
Yes.
Who was listed as a potential contender for Bobby Lashley's U.S. title. This is a notable step back for
Okay. Listen, I may not be into that much WWE that much anymore, but give me that shit.
This is a noticeable step back for the Limitless One, considering he was right in the mix for a world title match with McIntyre and Orton 1 month ago. There were reports recently that a McIntyre versus Lead feud could still happen, though the draft results might have thrown a few wrenches into that plan. Lee is scheduled to face Strowman on this week's episode. Can I just say, Strowman seems to have had such a fall from grace in the last few months.
Regress?
Yeah.
Oh yeah, he's regressed. He's been regressed. I mean, I don't know, man. Just the mishandling of his character alone is just, the writing on the wall. He's not the monster among men anymore. Give that shit to Reigns now. I mean, I know we're going on a tangent now, but Roman Reigns now, he's something different than he was before. Especially with his feud with Jey Uso. Which, listen, I'll talk shit about WWE until the day I die, but the way they have that build is amazing.
Yep. It's also interesting to see Alexa Bliss on the first name listed to challenge Asuka for the Raw Women's title. Even though Bliss has been heavily involved in a new storyline with The Fiend, she has only wrestled twice in the past 3 months. Raw will also feature a Raw Women's title match between Asuka and Lana.
Oh yeah, they're gonna be pushing her to the moon. Goody.
A Firefly Funhouse segment hosted by Wyatt and a concert performed by the returning Elias. Oh, sweet lord. Can I just say, Bliss, the way she is, where it's, switching from I want to be Trish Stratus so bad it hurts to Harley Quinn Bliss against Asuka, who's already eccentric and living on another planet. This is going to be one of those, I don't know what's happening, but I'm going to grab the popcorn because it's going to be fun to play out. I don't know. As for the idea of Keith Lee versus Drew, I'm all for that. I'm with Raiden. Bobby Lashley versus Keith Lee will be amazing. But I'm still going to go with my gut and say Edge is going to get screwed. Orton's going to get screwed by Edge at Hell in a Cell. And also Sasha Banks versus Bayley, and it's going to be an I Quit match in Hell in a Cell. That's going to be a first, because we've seen I Quit matches before, one of which that comes to mind: 3 simple words. Royal Rumble 1999.
Ooh.
That was brutal. And
oh yeah. Ooh, those multiple chair shots Foley took. Oh.
He was only supposed to take 7. He took 17.
Oh.
Today, that match wouldn't happen.
Nah. Multiple chairs to the head.
I mean, I'm surprised Mick still has his mental faculties in check, considering most other people that have taken shots to the head have not been so fortunate. I mean, it's one of the reasons why Chris Nowinski retired young, because he took such a nasty concussion. He's just like, nope, stuff it, I'm out.
He became a lead voice of concussion.
Yep.
Anyone remembers that Dark Side of Wrestling episode because of that man. I can say his name, but for the sake of like keeping things PG, I won't accentuate it.
Random. There's a little story with this. Random refers to him as Black Silhouette Man because there's one video somewhere on YouTube where Benoit and Guerrero are celebrating at the end of WrestleMania 20 with their 2 titles, and somebody has edited the video to where Benoit is nothing more than a silhouette, and it makes it look like Guerrero's just hugging Mr. Game & Watch. So, and he even recreated Benoit on WWE 2K14 years ago, where it made it look like Benoit had actually come up from somewhere. Make of that what you will.
Oh.
It's random, he does what he wants. But yeah, Bayley and Asuka, I can see that going completely kooky. The only thing I'm gonna say is
Bayley. Asuka, Lana.
I mean, I know a lot of people are digging, Bliss doing the whole horror thing, but I'm just saying this, I'm not a fan of it. I just rather she just went back to being, Trish Stratus face 2.0.
To be fair, thanks to Dead Meat, it has been revealed she's a massive horror fan. So, I think for her this is the role she was born to play.
I know, but I just preferred what she was doing with Nikki Cross before they started this thing. I mean, the gimmick that they've got her on is clearly not meant for me. I preferred what she was doing beforehand. That's where I stand with it.
That's fair.
Lid, your 2 cents on the potential challengers they could have for the respective belts on Raw.
I mean, yeah, the draft kind of shook things up a little bit. I will admit, I would love to see Keith Lee versus Drew McIntyre. Again, I want to see Keith at least pick up a solid victory where he isn't like getting either DQ, disqualified, disqualified or counted out or some bullshit shenanigans. The point is, I want to see Keith Lee win clean, and if he can win, if he can either win clean against McIntyre or against Bobby Lashley, I would be okay with that. And as far as like the what's going on with the women's division, it's like, yeah, the reason Lana picked up that victory is because they were going to bring out Eva Marie, but the fact that they that got leaked to the public, it's like, no, we can't do that. They'll get so much backlash. But again, having Lana as the number 1 contender, I'm like, okay, I guess you guys are just transitioning from her actual next number 1 contender, because at that point it could be Alexa. There could be playing with the Fiend is trying to win every belt, and it's like the only way he can do that is by possessing Alexa. And I'm okay. And I'm like one of the few people that actually kind of likes the storyline with what they're doing with Bliss. It's like, it's fun. It's kind of weird, but again, I'm a horror movie fan. I enjoy that kind of crap. So
fair enough.
So all in all, it's like it looks interesting, but again, I'm in the back thinking, it's like, okay, how are you guys gonna fuck it up? Let's see what happens.
2 simple.
I got my popcorn out. Let's see the shit show.
2 simple words: Vince McMahon.
Mm-hmm.
See, what you gotta remember with old Vinny, he's the type of person that could be given a script that's been written by an Academy Award winner. Let's say, for the sake of discussion, you get somebody that wrote the script for the biopic of Ali. You know, has this really thespian, groundbreaking style that would shake up the wrestling thing. And McMahon comes in and decides to do like a really bad, watered down version of, say, DX versus the McMahons 2.0. And turn into that. Yeah. The problem is with Vince, his Vince's sense of humor is just far too juvenile. You know, he still thinks, you know, stuff that was funny from 30 years ago is still relevant today. It's like, no, people have moved on a little bit. I mean, you can have maybe like little nods to it where you'll see like a iconic magazine cover that Vince may have been on 10 years ago where he just simply raises an eyebrow or just tips his hat to it. It's one thing, but when you try to reuse something and when you've already seen it, it doesn't quite have the same effect. It'd be like, prime example, Bart Simpson's I Didn't Do It. He does it the first time, it's amazing. Once he's done it for like the umpteenth time, people don't care. You know, it's something that loses its effect over time. With the lone exception, one of the few lone exceptions, T-Rex breaking out of the paddock in the first movie still scares the crap out of people today. But with regards to, you know, like comedy timing in wrestling, something that was funny, say, in 99, like Mae Young's hand, for example, doesn't quite have the same effect today. If anything, they would look at that today and be like, this is supposed to be funny. It's like, it was 99. Let's just keep that in mind. You got to do something that's fresh, but at the same time, you're not deviating too far away from what made it decent. I will say this with regards to Seth Rollins, the whole Messiah complex thing, that you're going to piss some people off with that eventually.
Speaking of Seth.
Go on.
Oh, do I got a lot to say about Seth.
Oh boy.
Go ahead, man.
The fact that he politics to have Matt Riddle on Raw and now he's on SmackDown, all because of what Riddle's wife said. And I don't condone what she said, because she said something about like, oh, why does these women look all pasty and all that? And I think he was talking about Becky Lynch. And listen, I may dislike Seth with his bitch tendencies, but at least he defended his significant other. But the fact that you said I'm not gonna face Matt Riddle anytime soon, like that easily shows me that you're just gonna do this for the sake of not messing with someone who actually wants to smoke. The same guy, and I'm talking about Riddle here, who wants to go after Goldberg. And I also find it funny that he's on Raw now, and Goldberg, I hear, is going to make another appearance. So, yeah, just stop talking. Take the smoke, and just try not to talk. Just try not to speak for the remainder of the year. Just please. But you know, you're Seth freaking Rollins. You do what you want. And yet people still call you out for being a whiny baby. Yeah, just hold on to that. Hold on to that L just very slowly.
Oh, you beat me by 1 second. It's like, you know, it's like all those months ago he was, you know, campaigning to try and get Punk to face him. It's like, I actually don't blame Punk for ignoring him the way he's done. It even said, you know, You don't want the heat from people. Stop tweeting at people. And here's the thing. People will have their opinions about CM Punk, but Punk does not need to wrestle Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins needs to wrestle CM Punk. Punk has nothing to prove. Alright, he's never going to win the Grand Slam Championship because all he needed was the United States title and it would have been a done deal. But Punk has already been a tag team champion, Intercontinental champion, he's been world champion multiple times, and the longest reigning WWE champion in the modern era. Punk has nothing to prove to Seth Rollins. Seth Rollins, you could argue in some respect, doesn't have anything to prove to Punk because he's a Grand Slam champion. And I noticed in the modern era, they're getting to the Grand Slam quicker than what it would have taken Shawn Michaels, Triple H, Jericho, and Jeff Hardy back in the day. Because for Jeff Hardy, it took him from 99 to 2008 to get to the Grand Slam, because Intercontinental title, tag team titles in 99, 2000 he'd won the hardcore belt, 2001 he won the Intercontinental Championship from Triple H because Austin was WWF champion at the time. Jeff then goes and wins the European title in 2002, before it merged with the Intercontinental title, and then 6 years later, at Armageddon 2008, he finally gets the Grand Slam by beating both Triple H and Edge for the WWE title, only to be dethroned by Edge at the next pay-per-view. Yeah. Also, we could have Matt versus Jeff again at Mania 25, and I'm like, ugh, this again.
To be fair, the match was pretty good, even though their Backlash outing was much better.
It's just the fact it was brother versus brother again. It's like, we've seen this with... And here's the thing, WWE doing their revisionist history again. Back in the day, Edge and Christian were billed as brothers. Yet, when Christian came back in 2009, all of a sudden, Christian is just Edge's best friend. And the other time that brother versus brother has been done, Kane and Taker. And when it was announced in 2010, they were facing each other at Night of Champions. I'm like, oh, this shit again. I mean, they've been, flip-flopping from friends to foes, friends to foes, friends to foes, friends to foes. Even X24 Ryder got sick about it back into this. Like, we don't care anymore. It'd be like... Let's say, for the sake of discussion, Oni and L-Man were tag team champions at one stage. And it'd be like a Vladimir Kozlov and Santino Marella situation. And Oni and L-Man, you could decide between yourselves which one would be Marella and which one would be Kozlov. And trust me, you're not going to get an agreement with L-Man on it. They'd be constantly turning heel on each other week after week. And at the end of it...
To be fair, knowing those two will be more entertaining.
But at the end of it, you would get both Lids and Raider just coming along and bitch slapping the person that just says, "Stop it, it's not funny anymore."
No, none of that. Shame on you.
Yeah. So by the time it got to 2010, because Kane and Taker probably had done heel turns on each other more times than I'd care to mention. So for them to just do that again, and like I say, with relation to Matt and Jeff doing brother versus brother again, because we saw this at Vengeance 2001. To be fair to the match, it was alright. But it was just like Matt doing this heel turn. I'm gonna just say this. Matt Hardy's best when he's either a tweener or he's just working as a face, or when he's being broken or woken. Matt Hardy.
Actually, I think he's a comedic, entertaining heel, especially when he was Matt Hardy version 1.
Yeah.
God, I remember that.
That was fun.
Yeah, that was peak solo Matt Hardy at the time.
Remember?
Like from his exploits of trying to make weight for the cruiserweight title, just have Shannon Moore as a Matt Hardy follower or an MFer. So yeah, I understand the preference of seeing Matt Hardy as a face, but I think Matt Hardy as version 1, that was heel Matt Hardy at his best. Do
you remember when he was using as his Titantron entrance?
That was some amazing stuff.
Using like Windows Media Viewer circa 2002 when he only had dial-up internet. Oh
boy.
And the version 1 facts. Oh god.
Matt Hardy likes the room at a toasty 40 degrees Fahrenheit, only drinks extra chocolate milk, and they're like, Jared goes, who gives a crap about that? Mind you, that wasn't as cringe as the Randy News Network updates. Alright, man. The RNN, he's like, send all your get well messages to getwellrandy@wwe.com, and I guarantee I'll be back in no time. And of course, on Survivor Series 2002 here, JR going, well, I'll be holding my breath. Yeah, there's some interesting scenarios that are going to be happening on Raw, but like I say, we don't need Orton as champion again anytime soon. I don't think like he's really earned it. I mean, he's only gone and done what he did to the Legends just so that he would, get McIntyre pissed off enough to go do it. This is going to sound really weird, and I might, get a bit of slack for it. The one world title match I want to see within the next year at least, before this superstar probably gets to retirement, I want to see at least by Money in the Bank next year, whoever is the Universal Champion to drop it to the Big Show, and I'll explain my reasons why.
Okay.
Big Show, let's call it for what it is. He's probably only got maybe a year or two left of good matches left in him. This is a guy, the only guy that to have ever been WCW, WWE, ECW, and World Heavyweight Champion. He's one belt away from making a record. He'll be the only one to have held the Universal title along with those 4 other world titles. Imagine if he was to end his career as the only guy to have won all 5 of those world titles. Because, we're not going to see Booker T come back anytime soon.
Nah, he's pretty much busy with the podcast and running Reality of Wrestling.
I mean, the only other ones that could come back now and be like, one of the only person to win 3 of the world titles that have been in WWE. If Cena was to come back now and beat Roman Reigns for the Universal title, he will have been the only guy to have been WWE World Heavyweight and Universal. But I would like Big Show to go out winning the Universal title and then dropping it just to say that he was the only guy that have won all 5 of those world titles. Because I feel like WWE miss opportunities when they do things like this. It's like, come on, he would have been the only guy to have done this. Why don't you take these opportunities? You know?
Yeah, I hear you.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, it's in a similar vein. All those years ago, they could have had Undertaker win the Intercontinental title, and he would have been a Grand Slam champion, because in order to get the Grand Slam status, you have had to win World title, a Tag Team title, your secondary title, which would have been, at the time, either the US or the Intercontinental Championship, and your tertiary belt would have been the European or the Hardcore belt. Taker was Hardcore champion, which was scary as fuck at the time, I might add. But if he had won the Intercontinental title, he would have been a Grand Slam. Now, on the one hand, you could make the argument Taker doesn't need the Intercontinental title, but it still would have been impressive to see that over his shoulder, though. And by that, I mean the white leather Intercontinental belt, not that thing that we've got now. I know some people like it, but it doesn't do anything for me.
Yeah, that's because Vince was too cheap to pay the original belt holder dues to get it. So get just make a new one. And I feel like, and yeah, I'm with you. I feel like that thing is soulless.
Dude, calling Vince cheap would actually be a compliment to him.
I know.
Hey, I tell it like it is. I mean, give somebody time on I don't know if there was a function back in the day on one of the 2K games where you could create a belt. Give them an hour on that and they could come up with something superior. Not necessarily monumental that it would change the face of championship belts designs, but it would have done something to where you could look and think, you know what, I could see that working. I mean, and particularly with the WWE belts the way they currently are, when the world titles make you miss the spinner belts, you done goofed.
You know you done fucked up.
I would say done goof, but you done fucked up works just as well. But you and I both know, Raiden, with regards to world titles, with the exception of the big gold belt as the world title, you're never going to get better for the WWE title than the undisputed belt design.
Oh my god, yes. Possibly one of the most beautiful belts I've ever seen known, held by Triple H for a short time. Hogan, Taker, Rock, Lesnar, Angle, Guerrero, JBL, like I still say it's one of my all-time favorite WWE belt designs. I mean, yeah, the original Winged Eagle belt was cool, and of course the real giant one, but the undisputed belt it will always my hands down.
I mean, when I saw that being unveiled on the first episode of Raw, with the the brand extension taking place, I looked at it and thought, oh, that belt's beautiful. Although I did notice for a very good while, even into when they changed to WWE, they hadn't taken the F off of the logo, because you would look at when Taker had the belt, it's like it still says WWF on it. I'm like, okay, we clearly didn't get round to that just yet. But when that got retired in favor of the spinner belt, I mean, at the time I thought it was just like the sort of thing that would happen when Macho Man. I think Macho Man had a Warrior had a custom Intercontinental title where the lever strap was either blue or yellow, or Austin, possibly the greatest custom belt, Austin's Smoking Skull belt.
Oh yeah, that's a good one. That's a really good one.
Which at the time he didn't even tell the office that he was gonna do that. So the first Raw that he brought that out into the ring, and Vince is fuming. Vince wasn't actually acting. He was actually pissed that Stone Cold actually did that. But of all the foam replica belts that I've got, that's one that's sits up with pride up in my room, because I remember, Steve, you might not remember this, on White Horse Road in Broadmead, where you've gone past McDonald's and you're coming up to the traffic lights, where you've got Castle Park on your right, and you would have had the car park up on your left. Before there, you would have had a toy and model shop called BT's back in the day.
Not sure if I'm familiar with it, no.
Well, this is circa 2000, so there's a good chance you might not be familiar with it. This is before Broadmead had its redevelopment in the mid to late 2000s. I remember, I think it was either the ground floor, or I went up to the first floor where they had all the model train sets. Raiden, if I ever go get the DeLorean, I'm gonna have to probably drag you out of there. If we go back in time to go look at it, it's like, ooh, I'm gonna go stay with Raiden. Come on, we gotta go, man.
I'd love that. That'd be cool. Good looking out.
This was when WWE was huge in the early 2000s, and one of the replica belts they had out at the time was Austin's Smoking Skull belt. And I remember walking into there one time, and there it was for $10, and I'm like, ooh. It's like, I don't care if I'm a teenager, that thing's coming home with me. It's like I get some nations like, that's fake, you're making the mistake of thinking I care, damn it. That's always the hang up when someone goes, oh, that's pretty determined. It's like, you do know I don't give a crap, right?
Yeah, people like to shame for liking stuff like that.
The biggest
thinking that their life actually matters when they always gotta complain their day or job is shit, but always gotta tell people this shit is fake. Like, do something with your life. Like, what about you though? What's the problem?
Yeah, although the biggest burn I gave somebody at work years ago, and then they go, that. He's like, oh, wrestling's fake. And I go, yeah, I'm well aware. It's like, yeah, that's all very well and good. The thing is, I know that WWE has actors doing, as opposed to somebody like one of your players from your football team who attempts to go diving into the box and is surprised when he doesn't get the penalty awarded. I know my guys are acting. And then someone just went. It's like, and I even heard him say, it's like, dude, you got owned. And I'm like, oh. It's when somebody goes and says that out in IRL, you sort of think, really? Because when you hear like internet, coinages being used in real life, I mean, a couple of years ago, I'm not making this up, I heard one of the girls up in the canteen going, oh, OMG, LOL. I'm like, what? And Lid's silence speaks volumes.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So like I say, I deal with that as a wrestling fan, even one time when I went to Lanzarote years ago, and they were showing replaying SummerSlam 2000 at this bar called Lineker's, and I get the guy saying, it's like, you know it's fake pretend, and I'm like, and I notice I was looking at this guy, goes, you might want to pay attention to all those people out there who don't give a damn, because me here, I'm trying to watch the wrestling, and you're there being a jackass. You know, it's like you say, Raiden. Why can't people just, respect other people's choices and just, they like what they like, we go like what we like, it is what it is. The one replica belt I do have, still a foam one, but it's besides the point, was never able to get the US title for the longest amount of time. Then I finally find it in The Entertainer one year. That's the only one I've never taken out of its box, because it's like, no, that's staying in its box, because that'll be worth something someday. On a different note, if I ever get a real replica of any belt, it will be the outgoing one of the United States title. I know a lot of people like the current US belt. It doesn't do anything for me. I like the one that Eddie Guerrero won all the way back at Vengeance 2003. That's the belt I think of in the same regard.
Yeah.
When I think of the Intercontinental title, I think of the one that the likes of Jericho and RVD had, or Christian, or with the tag team belts, the ones that the Dudley Boys have, not those penny belts that they've been having since 2010, and those red and blue belts. And I will say, I thought, it was a simple yet clever way for the New Day and the Street Profits to solve the problem of, well, you're the Raw Tag Team Champions, but you're going to SmackDown, and you're the SmackDown Tag Team Champions, and you're on Raw. Like, here's the thing, just swap the belts, no questions asked. Because it would have made sense, because you would have still had the New Day showing up on SmackDown, and the Street Profits showing up on Raw, when both of them are supposed to be on either brand. In the same respect, when I think of the WWE title, I either think of the Undisputed Belt design or the one that Austin made famous when when he was presented to it by McMahon the night after WrestleMania 14. That's what I think of with regards to the WWE titles that I grew up with, not what we've got now. I mean, the world titles in particular, they're just so lazily designed. It's like big W on the belts. Like, you look at the Attitude Era Winged Eagle, and you look at the Undisputed title design, that is actual effort and craftsmanship put in. The current belt designs, get a big metal brand with a W on it. That's our world belt. I would look at that, toss it into the trash, say, give me the big Winged Eagle, thank you very much. If we use like a comparison, for example, that'd be like going to Lids and say, I wasn't able to get you a signed photo of Sarah Michelle Gellar as Buffy, so here's one of Brie Larson as Captain Marvel. She'd be like, bitch, just that in the bin right now.
I'll be like, this is cute, I can sell this on eBay, good day, bye bye.
Or in Raiden's case, instead of getting a signed autographed CD from Dr. Dre, he gets one from Lil Wayne. He'd be like, oh hell no.
Oh god. Yeah, that ain't happening.
Or one that Steven can relate to, instead of a signed and pictured lightsaber from Luke Skywalker himself, Mark Hamill, instead he gets one from Daisy Ridley from Return,
Rise of Skywalker.
Yeah, you look at it and say, oh hell no.
Like, you insult me, sir.
I mean, here's one that only could relate to. Instead of saying a signed autograph or a shout out on Twitter from Stone Cold, he gets one from not only Jim Cornette but Brian Zane and Vince Russo.
Oh my God!
Well, he doesn't have a problem with Brian Zane. He has a problem with Jim Cornette and Vince Russo. That's a given. There's no problem with Brian Zane.
And you know what would be the icing on the cake? It'd be one that was just to infuriate him further. He gets a birthday greeting from Hulk Hogan.
Oh no! No!
There's the kicker.
Mind you, we touched upon a little earlier about trigger warnings for Peter Pan.
Oh boy!
I know.
There we go.
This is from MovieWeb. New Disney Plus disclaimer warns of racial stereotypes in Peter Pan, Dumbo, and more. Disney Plus has provided Dumbo, Peter Pan, and other classic movies with content advisory over negative depictions and/or mistreatment of people or cultures. The streaming platform had originally put warnings ahead of a few older movies, but this is the first time actual content has been added in, which takes up 12 seconds. This is similar to the approach HBO Max took in streaming Gone with the Wind over this summer. You can read the disclaimer below. This program includes negative depictions and or mistreatment of people or cultures. These stereotypes were wrong then and are wrong now. Rather than remove this content, we want to acknowledge its harmful impact, learn from it, and spark conversation to create a more inclusive future together. Disney is committed to creating stories with inspirational and aspirational themes that reflect the rich diversity, sick of hearing that word, of the human experience around the world. To learn more about these stories that have impacted society, please visit disney.com//stories matter. Disney Plus does not stop with the aforementioned content advisor in such films as Dumbo and Peter Pan. Depending on what movie viewers choose to see, a custom content warning will come out detailing on what is perceived to be problematic with the movie. For instance, the Aristocats warns of Asian stereotypes. The cat is depicted as a racist caricature of Eastern Asian peoples with exaggerated stereotypical traits such as slanted eyes and buck teeth. The streaming platform warns he sings in poorly accented English voiced by a white actor and plays the piano with chopsticks. Oh boy. The warning concludes by stating this portrayal reinforces the perpetual foreigner stereotype, while the film also features lyrics that mock the Chinese language and culture such as Shanghai, Hong Kong, egg foo young, fortune cookies, always wrong.
Ah, jeez.
To be fair, as Kaiju would have said, it was a different time back then.
Yep.
Peter Pan has long come under fire for its depiction of indigenous peoples, and Dumbo has been called out for his racial stereotypes, mainly revolving around a group of animated crows for decades. Some were even wondering if Dumbo would make it onto Disney Plus when it debuted late last year. A disclaimer was attached, but now it contains a breakdown of what is problematic with the movie and why it is perceived as such. Like the Aristocats, Swiss Family Robinson is now another classic that comes with a content advisory from the streaming service. Warner Brothers has taken a similar approach with their Looney Tunes and Merry Medley cartoons. They acknowledge that the stereotypes are racist, but also give reasoning for not censoring.
Oh, come on! They did the Looney Tunes too.
Mm-hmm.
Why?
Yeah.
Oh, come on!
Like Disney has done in the past, noting that denying those portrayals existed could just be as harmful. For HBO Max and Disney Plus, revisiting the older catalogs has included extra work in preparing them for 2020 audiences. Disney Plus has come under fire for censorship since it debuted. The Tom Hanks romantic comedy Splash contains new editing to keep Dan O'Hara's buttocks out of view. Here's the thing.
Did we watch?
Oh hell no!
Yes, we did. Here's the thing, Disney. You could have put it on Hulu.
Yeah.
And besides, Daryl Hannah back in '84. How you doing?
Mm-hmm.
The Toy Story 2 casting couch joke has been removed. And there are a number of new languages in the 80s cult classic Adventures in Babysitting. These are just a few of the changes that have been made, but they caused a minor uproar, and with these new content advisories being added, one has to wonder if they may go back and make more changes at a later date. The Wrap was the first report on the Disney Plus content advisory. I think what Warner Brothers did with a disclaimer saying it was wrong then, it was wrong then as it is now, but to not acknowledge them would be just as bad to, not tolerate it now and criticize it now, because it's basically saying, look, this is how far society has come. So with Disney probably doing like a lot of heavy editing, like again, the whole thing with Daryl Hannah running off nude into the water. First of all you're seeing is her butt. It's not like they were given like a full frontal nudity from the sides where you could see her bust and other things. I mean, it's like we've said, and this is something that even Double Toasted said, why can't you just put it on Hulu? That would have solved your problem, because Disney owns Hulu, but they don't advertise it as Disney, and therefore you can watch more adult stuff on there. I mean, here's the thing, the Scary Movie series is a Disney product, but it was put through Miramax Films. Because, to give some context, there were 2 mermaid projects being made in the early to mid 80s. I think it was either Sony or Paramount were doing their mermaid film, and Ron Howard was doing Splash. But Disney saw some of the stuff that they were going to be putting into it and says, like, we're Disney, we can't do this. And Touchstone Pictures was made with the specific purpose of putting Splash out so that Disney could make the movie the way that, the makers wanted to make it, but without tainting Disney's perfect wholesome family image, which evidence is the contrary.
Wholesome family image, yeah, right.
I was trying to be discreet about it.
We remember those Disney princess movies, like in Sleeping Beauty when blood was first drawn in the climax. We ain't forget that shit.
Nope.
Or Oliver and Company, where in the penultimate scenes where the 2 villain dogs die by the 3rd rail.
Oh.
Yeah, I remember that shit.
And 2 simple words: Bambi's mom.
Yeah. Gunshot.
And also, the monster.
Somewhere, the creator of the Animals of Farthing Wood saw that shit.
Yep.
And knows, yeah.
I remember that show.
Thanks to Double Toasted and Steve Reviews, I've seen shit. I have seen scary shit. And if for anyone seeing the show, I'm sorry I gotta do this, but don't curl up. Don't curl up.
No.
And I've opened a Pandora's box with Steve. I'm sorry.
One of the only animated shows that was shown on the BBC that I thoroughly enjoyed.
God damn.
But the memories.
Anyway, continue. MJ. I think I scared Steve.
I think you re-traumatized him.
Sorry.
The fact that they have to put, like I say, trigger warnings on it, and let's just be frank, the only people who actually get triggered are people that suffer with PTSD from coming back from the war or suffer with traumatic events. To go and say, oh, I got triggered, this offends me, don't watch it then. You know, if you're really that uncomfortable, or you know, you weren't cuddled enough as a child, then don't watch it if that offends you. It's the same thing where you get these people with angry reviews. I hate this movie so much, I'm gonna go pay for the, you know, executive price at the cinema and then pre-order the exclusive 4K limited edition limited collector's edition and hate review. It's like, do you not see the problem? Because the studio and the retailers who you bought it from, they've taken your money. Who's the bigger idiot? I go and say, let's use a few movies that I've watched over the years that really couldn't give the time of day for. The first Blair Witch Project, Miami Vice, and a little known Jason Biggs movie known as Wedding Days, where he's basically playing Jim from American Pie yet again with his ass out on full display. Seriously, dude, pull your pants up.
Ew.
Obviously, was this before or after American Pie?
I think it was after.
Yeah.
Yeah. Guess he hadn't learned. Guess he hadn't learned after that.
Well, it was the movie that he did. He did with Isla Fisher, where he just proposes to this waitress out of the blue. Only ever saw those 3 movies once when they came out. Never went to go revisit them because they didn't do anything for me. I mean, the Blair Witch Project was supposed to be touted as this groundbreaking and phenomenally genre shaking event for cinema. When I went to watch it, I found the pacing incredibly patience inducing. It was basically just filmed like, you know, 3 friends just going around in the woods. I thought the sequel that they did was actually better because it actually had a plot and they actually had decent camera work. As for Miami Vice, well, you'll know my thoughts on that movie. It's more than documented, but with Wedding Days, it was just Jason Biggs acting like Jim Levinstein, but in a movie with a different name and a different character name, but he's acting like Jim. And there were maybe a couple of moments in the movie that I thought were genuinely funny, but it was just a run by the numbers, bland sex comedy. And thankfully this is in the days of cinema where the ticket for the afternoon only cost me $3.50, so it's not like I lost out on a lot of money back then. Plus it was a time where I was going out to the movies more often. It was also the same year I went to go see TMNT 2007 and Transformers 4 times in the space of that year. And yes, I'm aware of how sad that makes me sound, but keep in mind you're talking to a guy who's been comfortable and accepting of the fact that he's been a nerd for 13 years, so bite me. Sean Mercer just saying the SJW shouldn't be complaining since they've been warned. Not like they care. No, of course they don't. For them to care means to actually for them listening to logic, which they've yet to do. I got nothing further to add. Steve, have at it.
Where do I be? What do I really think of this? It's like, if you point something out, if you make something blatantly obvious, it doesn't make it right. And it kind of doesn't help the situation, in my opinion. So Disney is one to talk with that kind of issue, because one movie, 4 letters long, which is still a huge touchy subject. Song of the South.
Ooh,
Fuck.
no,
Okay.
no.
Oh, Steve bringing out the big guns for this motherfucker.
That would not get made today. Fuck
no.
Or you know, I'll let Steve get this. I have my own thing. Go ahead, Steve.
And the funny thing is, it was released everywhere around the world, including in the UK, on VHS formats when they were available. Because somewhere in my grandmother's house, there is a VHS tape somewhere of that movie.
Oh.
Yeesh.
But it's like putting a hat. It's like I just feel it's unnecessary. And in my opinion, if their children ask questions about these things, that's why they should go and ask their parents.
Yep.
Yeah.
Don't let TV or stream or a somewhat kid-friendly channel to teach your kids dumb shit.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Why do they feel the need to just spoon feed the information to people? Just doesn't make sense to me.
Man's got a point.
Oh, and in regards to the splash covering up Daryl Hannah's bum, I remember watching when Doctor Who first came back. They say in the behind the scenes part of a little documentary that came afterwards, Doctor Who Confidential. Mm-hmm. Originally, in the 12th episode, you were supposed to see Captain Jack's bum, but the BBC said, "Oh no, you can't show that," which they made a big kind of hoo-ha about on the documentary. And it's like, it's just they try to censor everything nowadays, except if you're on HBO.
Yeah, especially with something like Game of Thrones. Good lord.
Yep.
Oh god, yeah.
Or an Amazon, considering where The Boys is going to be taking inspiration for its 3rd season.
A friend of mine has actually recommended that to me. Might give that a watch.
Yeah, my sister actually binge watched that. She recommended it to me because of I like superhero things, and it's like I was gonna watch it, just unfortunately I don't have Amazon Prime. So.
I think Co92 has just said a good statement there in the comments.
It says, that is a good point. Seems like double standards on their part. Is that the only thing they don't want to acknowledge? Here's the thing. And this is something that somebody pointed out with a lot of other TV and movie networks. Gang violence, excessive cursing, hey, we'll allow that. Nudity or someone accidentally showing their ass crack, no, must be taken down. It's like, hold up real quick. You mean to tell me that it's okay to see 12 people brutally assault, say 2 to 3 people that are just minding their own business, but somebody inadvertently flashes their ass, or a lady flashes her chest out just for a bit of, I don't want to say naughty fun, but more tongue-in-cheek, where it's just being playful in an innocent sense, that's somehow deemed as more offensive. I think you need to get your priorities straight. Just saying.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Although, as a friend of mine would have said at one stage, instead of being worried about boobs being shown, why don't you stop acting like a boob?
Ooh. And I've said my piece.
Raiden was somewhat keen to say his piece. Dude, go right ahead. Oh no.
The absolute nerve. The absolute fact that Disney, out of all people trying to accentuate their way of being kid friendly, and trying to spoon feed the kids of this generation. Oh please, Disney, we know all of your dirty secrets, and I mean all of your dirty secrets. Since Steve mentioned Song of the South, does anyone remember Fantasia? And they had the centaurs, and they had this character, which I'm going to type in.
Oh boy, I think I know which one you're talking about.
Oh boy.
Oh no!
Oh boy.
Yeah. Disney, we ain't forgot about that shit. So the fact that you can say you're trying to be kid friendly and all that type of stuff. Yeah. I wasn't born yesterday. So that's cute that you're trying to see the error of your ways, but you did it in a way that makes you look extra stupid. So, and HBO Max, HBO Max, you're not off the hook. You're not off the hook either. I don't appreciate saying it's forced racism when you got rid of episodes of Oxy and Hunger Force like Shake Like Me, where remember folks, Shake got bitten by a radioactive black man and became black and had a grill and had an afro. Was it funny? Oh. Yes, but I wouldn't call that super racist. Well, half and half. Didn't really go too crazy about it. But the shit that you also did with the Boondocks when you got rid of certain episodes, like the Hunger Strike, when they talk shit about BET. I just find it funny that we live in a world that a lot of these networks and channels gotta freaking bend down to SJW saying that they don't like stuff like this. Like you're making half of this you're making half of the youth fucking stupid. And I'm being real. You're training them to be like you, which is really not a good look. So
could that be considered brainwashing?
Yeah.
Basically, yes, most definitely. Yeah. So the fact that they did this easily shows that times have changed for the worse, and the more it happens, we're gonna have a lot more dumbed down things that we don't appreciate. It's gonna take a certain type of power to get rid of stuff like this, but for now, it's better to ignore the dumbassery and just enjoy what you like. Simple as that. Was the stereotypical stuff in the early Disney stuff? Hell yeah. I mean, we've seen this. Luckily back in the day, our parents told it. Yeah, this was during a trying time, and we don't. And it's at the point where you got to teach your kids the same way. Don't let a channel or streaming service tell you otherwise. that's how I feel the situation. I feel like it's just pandery. I don't appreciate that shit at all.
Mm.
Let's.
Congratulations, Disney! You come off as the biggest hypocrites in the world. I mean, the fact that you have to put a disclaimer at the beginning of any of your, like, any what you deem offensive products. Here's a thought. How about you let the adults raise their kids and tell them why this is offensive? Or why you shouldn't do it anymore. You want to know why we have race relations, bad race relations in this country? Because of bullshit like this. Because we don't raise our children correctly, and we don't give them the information properly, or teach them better. The phrase is true. If you don't learn from history, you are doomed to repeat it.
Mm-hmm.
It's frustrating that you have to censor anything you deem is incorrect or inappropriate when you have stuff that's like completely worse. You don't put a disclaimer in Avengers Endgame because there's a scene where someone gets decapitated. Or are we just gonna ignore the fact that Thor goes medieval on Thanos' head? No, you just want to give us spoon-feed the children with any kind of propaganda. That's the problem here. That's what I think is the problem. You don't want to have a parent raise their kids. You just want these parents to put their kids in front of a screen and see what happens.
That is a recipe for disaster.
Exactly. It really is. The point is, try to teach your children. Don't let a monitor or a screen or a device teach your kids. It's only going to end badly for everyone.
Oh, I've just thought of something. With the whole argument that they're trying to appease SJWs, they'll find anything to argue about. You could come up with a truckload of gold and they will find something wrong with it.
It reminds me of this will be somewhat prevalent to anybody that's listening in the audience that's an English Premier League fan. It reminds me of a quote from Sir Alex Ferguson. Dennis Wise could start a row in an empty room. And it's kind of somewhat similar to SJWs. Empty room, they'll find a way to start an argument in there. Co92 saying it right there. This is why parents these days have become lazy and incompetent. While he's absolutely correct, to call them that would actually be paying them a compliment. Because, not to get onto too much of a political tangent, when I say discipline your kids, I'm not talking like heavy, harsh things where, kids are beaten with an inch of their life. That's not what I'm talking about. It's not what I'm talking about. If your kid acts out of line, you correct them. You take away their internet, you take away their mobile phones, you take away their PS4s, their Xbones. If I stepped out of line back in the day, I was basically told no TV for a week, not even comic books. Well, half truth. You'd be able to read what you have, but you weren't allowed to buy anything new. Because again, if you don't lay down any guideline, any ground rules, or a sense of reprimand and punishment, how's your kid going to grow up knowing right from wrong if you don't, draw the line in the sand? I mean, that's why we have so many self-entitled jerks these days. Because they think they can have anything by snapping their fingers. Like, no, that's the sort of thing that'll get your ass kicked real quick. Because it's the sort of thing that I notice in the Southwest a lot these days. People are just rude to each other for no justifiable reason, and something that's pissing me off year on year out, because people have just got this mentality now where it's like, I'm better than you, and I'm not going to be nice to you if you say hello to me. I mean, I like to think of myself as a reasonably nice guy. I'm one of these people that if I'm in a good mood, happen to walk by, I just say, good morning to you. And they give me this look to say, oh, how dare you wish me good morning. And this really sort of snide, oh, I'm better than you, I'm better class than you. It's like, here's the thing. And this is something that Raiden will probably be in tune with. People who are actually better will not look at themselves that way. They're just looking to think, I'm just the average Joe. I don't think of myself as, all prim, proper and all that jazz. You're only, someone who's actually better than everyone else when you're humble. When you've got this attitude of, hey, let me go help that guy. Hey, let me go help out with this situation. Not, I'm too good for this. I'm going to go where my time is better used, and you just go talk meaningless crap to, one of your other stuck-up friends.
Yeah.
Because, not to get into too much of a personal thing, but I remember having a conversation with one of the news agents who I used to deliver newspapers for back in the day. It was like a few days removed after my mother had passed away. And the guy said, you are truly an amazing person. But here's the thing. I didn't then, and even now, I don't look at myself that way. And I asked one of my relatives, it was actually on the morning of my mother's funeral, and I said, why do people call me an amazing person? Because I don't look at myself that way. And he said, well, that's exactly it. Amazing people don't see themselves as amazing because they are. Didn't really understand it back then. I think now I have a slightly better mindset on it. An amazing person will do something that's every day for them. Something that's not really noteworthy to them. I mean, let's say for the sake of discussion, you have a single mom that works 2 jobs, but still finds time to coach a soccer team for her kids. She'll look at that as an everyday thing, somewhat mundane, it's routine. Others will say, that's amazing. And similar stance, I do what I do every year, go to work, I come home, do the chores, and then I go online and go and entertain an audience, because for me that's routine. Everyone else says, oh, that's really amazing with what you do, with your video work and all this. On the one hand, from an objective standpoint, if I was to look back at like some of the very first videos I made in like 07 and 08, yeah, I'd like to think I've come a little bit of a long way since then. Would I say it was stupendous and amazing? No. Only because in the last 6 to 8 years I've learned to humble myself. I mean, yeah, I enjoy making them. There are some that I think of as much better work than others, but I'll never tout myself as the supreme master of video of making on YouTube, because if that were the case, I'd have more subscribers than Tyro Magnus, and he's getting close to 2 million.
Blimey.
Although that said, I wouldn't mind just 10% of his subscribers. For me, that would just be enough just to get myself up the ladder a bit more. Or Mr. Beast, I mean, he's up there with 46 million subscribers. And fair play to the guy. But again, you get people touting themselves as amazing when in actuality, and you know, correct me if I'm wrong, I think the people who actually believe they're amazing are doing that to probably cover up their own insecurities.
Basically.
I mean, the people I think that are amazing, I mean, Win, for example. Not going to get too much into IRL. She deals with stuff in IRL, but she finds time to do her cosplay, to do amazing artwork, and whenever she spends time with us, she's an amazing person. Oni, with what he's been through in the last 10 years, he comes on, does his live streaming, entertained an audience with RDR, found time to smile and laugh and make other people laugh. He's amazing. Lids, with what she's been through throughout her life, she comes in here, she tells it like it is with her, you know, savage and blunt, honest humor, which probably makes you, you know, the Berta from 2.5 Men, because you do tell it like it is, like she did. She's amazing. Raiden, absolutely suave, very smooth, tell it like it is. I don't give a damn what your feelings are, because facts don't care about your feelings.
Basically.
He's had stuff going on in his life. He comes on here, he smiles, and everyone else smiles with him. He's amazing. But the thing is...
Thanks, buddy.
No worries. They would never claim to be amazing, because here's the thing. The moment you start claiming that you're amazing and believing your own hype, that's when you've got an ego. And not in a good way. Because humility, if anything, has taught me, keep your feet grounded. Always at least keep one foot on the ground. Because for one thing, nobody likes a big head. And second of all, the higher you perch yourself up on that plateau, the harder your ass is going to feel when you hit the ground. And believe me, it hurts. But sometimes you need that reality check to just be like, okay, you've fallen, your only way is up, but humble yourself so that, for example, whenever I get like a major response on one of my videos, I think, okay, that was fun with what we had there, but let's move on to, you know, we've enjoyed it, we savored the moment, let's move on to the next project. Let's actually move on so that when I can go back and look at this in a few years and think, okay, this was a nice stepping stone. You know, don't rest on your laurels, because you don't get anywhere doing that. And it'd be like if Oni was resting on his laurels with the videos he did about 10 years ago, where, now I'm not going to go saying this out loud, because what he said on camera at the time, this is when Oni had hair, so this was a while ago.
Wow.
And this is back when he used to do camcorder stuff. He said stuff then that's not really politically correct, and I shall say this.
Oh.
Yeah. Yeah, today you couldn't say that.
Oh, Jesus.
I'll copy Pastor for Code 92 who's listening, just for the sake of, just so you can get the context. Because, yeah, you can't say that today. But again, it was a different time when not everybody was offended by every single, paragraph, word, and syllable under the sun. If they think that's bad, they ought to go back to the 1980s with some of the things that Del Boy would say back in the day.
I don't even know who that is.
Yeah, Only Fools and Horses.
Okay.
Del Boy was the nickname of a character of Derek Trotter that David Jason, who you will know better as the voice of Danger Mouse and Count Duckula from back in the day.
Mm-hmm.
He would say things that weren't necessarily politically correct, and quite a few times
Whoa, boy!
Oh.
Yikes!
Yeah.
Oh.
Mm-mm.
Oh.
See, here's the thing. In the 80s, it was considered, sort of tongue-in-cheek, and even the character didn't mind it, too much, but the character of Boise, who was the husband of Marlene, took it a bit personally, whereas today, if you go doing that to someone else's wife, there's a good chance you're going to get your ass kicked.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Any other topics to cover?
Not really. There's some stuff that can get saved for next week, but I think we're at that point in the evening where we're all kind of winding down for the evening, and I don't think Wynn's gonna be popping in, because I'm not gonna get into it, folks, but Wynn's been having a few difficult nights sleeping this week, so she was gonna have a little bit of a lay-in. And Navi was probably being Navi, which, seriously, Navi, what the hell?
He is the Overlord, after all.
That is true.
I've linked into a small animation so we don't go out on a down note, if anyone's interested.
Just so I know, is this one that's done by independently, or does this stuff have copyrighted stuff?
Not sure if the animation's done independently, although I'm not sure about the music.
Let me have a quick gander a sec. Right, that's a commercial. Let me just mute the audio a second. Yes. Right, let me see. Composey. It's still listed. It's still got listings on iTunes, so technically, for all intent. Here we go. Song by iModerato. Album licensed to YouTube by so it is by a third party where it does have copyrighted stuff on there.
Dang.
I know.
Yeah, feel free to check it out on your own time.
one thing I can say, because one of the next movie reviews, which will close out Hulktober for this year, is going to be one of the TV movies from the late 80s. How do I phrase this as tactfully as I can? The acting is more or less aged well for a late 80s TV movie. Bill Bixby was still great at what he did, but some of the things that have not aged too well is the scoring and some of the visual effects. There's one scene where David has hulked out on the beach, and you sort of see the Hulk trying to get himself up after being hit with a tranq dart, and then there's him and Thor, or Eric Kramer, in this really cheap Viking outfit trying to pull down this 80s helicopter, and you just all think, this was cool when I saw this as a kid in the 80s. Now you just cringe at it. It's like that, and Liz can probably relate to this. It's like you see some action scenes where you see something that's supposed to be impactful, and they do like really super slow mo, whereas you look back at it now and you think, oh, this looks bad. Yeah, so that'll be coming along, and then in about 3 weeks, Ninja Turtles 3.
Ooh.
Well,
That'll be good.
It'll be continuing for Turtlevember, and then TMNT will close that out. And next year it'll be Baytles, as in the Michael Bay version. Or as Liz refers to them as the hulked out turtles. Which also brings up an interesting discussion. With the lack of movies this year, it does bring the end of year panel into question.
Yeah.
I was wondering about that.
Honestly, I mean, I think we could talk movies that we watch like on stream. Like, I mean, there's been a lot of animated movies. We could talk about that. Make it an animated version. Well, there were some movies that we did watch, like of course Sonic, all that. But like we can make it like half animation.
Yeah, could do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and one thing I'm going to be looking at doing is getting some more of the different themed products that I've got on my Teespring page, or new Teespring store, moved along, because yes, sure, we will be talking about Sonic, but I think that is one of the only 3 movies I saw at the theater this year. Sonic being numero uno, Back to the Future being one of them, but that wasn't just because of the fact that movies were starting to show classic movies just to try and bring in some revenue. Back to the Future was going to be back in theaters with or without the pandemic, because the original movie turned 35 this year. And the fact that I saw Jurassic Park at the theater for the first time since it came out. And it's one of those sort of situations where you can't believe these words leave your mouth. It's like, I saw Back to the Future and Jurassic Park in the same theater on the same day.
Wow.
That's something I never thought I would be able to say. Although it's not uncommon for me to have done double whammies back in the day, because there was once upon a time where I saw Lilo and Stitch and Boat Trip within the same afternoon. I think it's safe to say Lilo and Stitch performed better, because Boat Trip, how to put this? If that movie was going to try and be put out today, it would be heavily rewritten, because the synopsis of the movie is Cuba Gooding Jr.'s character breaks up with Vivacia Fox's character, thinks he's going on a pleasure cruise for single guys looking for women. He finds out he's on a cruise with only gay couples on there, and pretends to be a gay guy just so he can get laid with the female dance choreographer on there.
Oh yeah, I remember that. I remember that. That was hilarious.
And you have Roger Moore as like a retired RAF base jumper. And here's the thing, knowing how suave and very eloquently spoken he could be, he actually made that part believable. But again, because there was so much stereotyping in that movie wouldn't happen today. Not the way it was written today. It would be heavily rewritten. What was the only other movie I saw two in one day? Damn, there's been a few. Wasn't that one I saw two in one day? Two in one day I saw one time. The first Michael Bay Ninja Turtles, and then Gone Girl. That movie is fucked up. Did you ever see that one?
Can't say that I have.
It's the one where Ben Affleck's character tries to work out the disappearance of Rosamund Pike's character going missing, and she kind of offs a few people while she's, just decides to disappear. And that was the one directed by David Finch. It's a, don't get me wrong, it's a well-written movie, but jeez, it's messed up. It has to be said, Rosamund puts on a convincing American accent, but then again, she knows how to play messed up characters. I mean, she played Amanda Frost in Die Another Day. Oh god, that movie.
I remember that. Yeah, she was okay. I can't lie to you, she was fine as hell in that movie.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Still a stone cold bitch, but still fine.
Oh, don't worry, Halle Berry, aka Jinx, took care of her.
Yeah, and
via the art of war.
Mm-hmm.
Ha! I can read your every move. Read this, bitch.
Also, has to be said, Halle Berry as a redhead. How you doing?
Man, when she was in that movie, man, in that bathing suit, I'm just saying.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they were trying to recreate that Ursula moment from Dr. No. Like, you succeeded.
And the water was absolutely freezing that day.
Oof.
And there's Raiden watching the time. He's like, "Hey, how you doing? Hey, you go grab a beer. We go eat." Hey. He's looking at me going, "Okay, bro, I sound nothing like that." And that was the last movie Pierce Brosnan was in. Oof.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't the best. Like, it wasn't the best like Golden and the World's Not Enough, but hey, it's for his last movie, it was damn good. I mean, it was his last thing as Bond. I mean, the last thing he did as James Bond was the video game
Everything or Nothing.
Yeah, there you go.
Which actually featured Willem Dafoe as the villain.
Yes.
Something he knows how to do far too well.
Yes. I mean, if anyone remembers the double toasted thumbnail for Speed 2 Cruise Control, them crazy ass eyes and teeth.
Oh no.
That's Willem Dafoe on his good day.
And a lot of people have asked the question, why has he not played the Joker yet? And I'm like, don't. He'll enjoy that way too much.
Please no. Do you want nightmares?
I have nightmares anytime he smiled as Green Goblin. It's just like, oh.
Yeah.
Although a lot of people refer to the outfit he had in the first Spider-Man movie as a glorified Green Ranger costume.
Oh Lord.
And if you ever see I'm a Marvel, I'm a DC, they even sort of reference that. It's like they're sort of trading insults, and Luthor just goes to him, and what about the Green Ranger? It's like, wait, really? You're going there with that? That is the only thing about the costume I thought was a little bit meh. It did seem a little bit hokey. And the thing I always noticed with the Spider-Man costume, you'd never see the chin moving whenever Spidey's supposed to be talking. At least with the Andrew Garfield version, you could actually see his chin moving, showing that, hey, he is actually talking in that thing. And was it? I don't know who shared this on Facebook. There's this image of Andrew Garfield saying, "Why do you guys think I'm absolutely terrible?" And you see this image of Maguire, Holland, and the animated version of Miles Morales from Into the Spider-Verse to say you're terrible. So I'm like, I know there's probably some Tom Holland fans out there, but Holland is not as good as Garfield in my opinion. I thought Garfield was actually better. And the only thing that, and this is just me being critical of Tobey's performance, as I've said since the mid-2000s, as Parker he nails it, as Spidey he needed work. Because he only seemed to crack one joke per movie. And that's part of Spidey's character setup, he's the jokester. He uses that as a facade to mask up what he's truly feeling. Whereas with Garfield, you couldn't get him to shut up.
Yeah, in a sense, he did brought the OG style Spider-Man. Just a giant wisecracker, because that's what Spider-Man is.
Yep.
But yeah, but like you say, he will not stop talking, especially in Amazing Spider-Man 2.
I was like, a light-up figure named Sparkles? Whereas with Tom Holland's version, I think the biggest problem I had with Civil War, I got it. He was, a mid-teen that was just fanboying at the fact that he was with Iron Man, Captain America, and what have you. By the time it got to Infinity War and Endgame, it's like, okay, dude, this is getting really old now. Dan says, just came back in from seeing Lupin the first. Good movie. Awesome. But, yeah, like I say, Holland's a good actor, but to me, he's not Spider-Man. If you had, say, Maguire and Garfield do the fusion dance where Maguire can handle the awkward, shy nerdiness of Peter Parker, but have Garfield handle Spidey, perfect. With regards to voice acting, it's a tie between Josh Keaton and Christopher Daniel Barnes as the best. Here's the thing with Drake, who voiced him in Ultimate Spider-Man. When he was brought in as a guest star on Earth's Mightiest Heroes, when he's given the right voice direction and script, he was actually trying, but in Ultimate Spider-Man he was insufferable. And as for that other Spider-Man show that Disney
actually later seasons Drake got better with the voice.
Yeah. Trouble is, it would have taken him that long just to have gotten that. Whereas, like I say, people like Josh Keaton and Christopher, they were nailing the part from day one. That's the thing with Christopher's portrayal as Spidey. You couldn't get him to shut up.
Yep.
That was a thing I noticed with a lot of 90s animated series. Most characters were drawn as my brother liked to put it, muscle-bound grotesques, whereas more recent animated series, they are toned up when you see them, but they're not built to be like mini Hulks. Whereas Spider-Man for the 90s series, he had like a six-pack on a six-pack, and I'm like, Parker's not meant to be built like a brick shithouse, because that's exactly what he was. And then of course not taking into consideration what happened to him when he became the Man Spider.
Ugh, that thing is enough to give you nightmares.
Yeah. And funny thing, apparently the first voice acting gig that Josh Keaton had was when he was one of Doc Brown's kids on Back to the Future, the animated series.
Whoa.
Yeah, I think he actually played Jules. In a similar way, long before Elijah Wood got famous on Lord of the Rings, he was actually one of the two kids in Cafe 80s that was unimpressed with Marty playing Wild Gunman. That was actually the first on-screen appearance of Elijah Wood. He was like one of those kids, like, you have to use your hands to play with that thing? That's like a baby's toy. And there's poor Marty, like, going, kids' toys? Like, although I'm glad to say a lot of, motion control things like the PlayStation iToy or the Kinect, that's long gone out the window. Thank gosh for that.
The only thing that I think the Kinect is good for is for ghost hunters if they try to find ghosts.
Although imagine playing Ghostbusters the video game with that. That'd be an intriguing setup.
Ooh.
Although it has to be said, the remaster game that they put out last year, didn't really notice any huge differences. Because they were supposed to like upgrade it from like 128-bit to 256. I didn't really notice it. Hang on, wait a minute. No, the likes of the Dreamcast and the Xbox would have been 128, so the 360 is 256. So the Xbox would have been 512. I still go in bit formats because that's just how my mind works. Although the thing that we noticed when they put out at the beginning of the game, it says, "In loving memory to Harold Ramis." It looked like cheap titles that you could have done on Sony Vegas, which is ironic because Sony sold off Vegas to Magix. But what they did, they actually retained all the staff that actually worked on that editing software, so you know, it's a smooth transition to when you're working on, say, Sony Vegas from 2014, then you go on to Magix in 2016, and all the same settings are there. Then you know nothing's changed. It's just, you know, different manufacturer now. And on that note, I think we will call it time. Because, you know, I've got nothing left to talk about. Not really. But next week, hopefully we'll have Kaiju back and have Win back, and then we'll have the closing entry for this year for Hulktober. And I'm thinking about opening up an additional Teespring store, but it will be video game themed, which means your L Sustain Me will be moved over to that one.
Ooh.
Ooh.
Well, I've come to a theory that some may not be biting from that store because some people might not be okay with the fact that it's a store that, you know, the main store is still selling stuff that's mainly just for the purposes of promoting my brand on YouTube, whereas things like, you know, some of the catchphrases they came up with, like, you know, be humble, that way they can't grumble, that's the sort of thing you could at least sell in any store that's using a very philosophical theme. So I might come up with something like, I don't know, a Philosopher store or something of that nature. Whereas if you go like for a video game one, well, you know, your L Sustain Me, that's something you can easily use as like a sort of a taunt if you're on live stream. Because I'm thinking about getting one of those stores promoted on Fiverr, because, well, people are more likely to buy something about pets than they are about me, because let's face it, with my, you know, amount of subscribers, you know, of 531 versus other YouTubers that have got like 10,000 or 28,000, it's kind of small potatoes. But I'm slowly building that subscriber count back up, because it took me from 2007 to 2012 just to make it to 1,000, and I firmly believe I can get there again. Just gotta keep plugging on, making decent content, and if it was anything to go by with what I did with the Incredible Hulk last week, I think it's safe to say there are some people out there that still dig what I do. It's just taken me that long just to, you know, refine the content. And to some who may be wondering out there, why did I stop making videos about Thunderbirds specifically? There's actually a reasonable answer for this. I would like to put any concerns to rest that, you know, that I've got no love for the show anymore. No, that's not the reason that I've stopped. Thunderbirds Are Go had finished up. We know the series is not coming back because, to be fair, Steve, if they were going to announce something for season 4, they would have done it by now.
Mm-hmm.
And
from what I heard from Rasmus, they said that the production had already wrapped up by last year.
Yeah, and I don't see it happening anytime soon, like, unless the demand for it is huge for it to come back and what have you. But I've not heard a peep out of it, and some people have said, you know, why don't you go and review the original series? What some people need to understand is, while that would be an interesting venture for me to go back and review the original series, I've got to want to have the motivation to be able to do it, because if I go in and half-ass it, then people are not going to be happy about it. You know, they want to be able to bring my A game. I've got to actually have a want and an interest to be able to do that. Now, I went in to review the 2015 series because I was excited that Thunderbirds was coming back. And I'm like, okay, this is something for me to do again, because Knight Rider was done and dusted by that point. RDR was kind of in between of, you know, because I would do that for, say, Saturday mornings, and I would do RDR separately. But because I actually put a lot of time and effort into the editing now, and the filters that I apply so that the contrast, the color, and the sharpness of the videos is at the standard that I've brought it up to, it takes longer for the videos to get made. And this is some stuff going on IRL, which I'm not going to talk about here, because wise man once said, you don't bring your personal shit to the internet, especially not stuff of that magnitude. You know, I don't really have the time to do multiple projects when I actually try to refine the writing and also getting the voiceovers right. There are some voiceovers that I will do where I'll probably spend 4 takes on one particular dialogue just so I can get it right on the first go. And sometimes there will be days where I will walk out of my room for half an hour, for one thing, just to get some fresh air, and just so it gives my vocal cords a chance to breathe. And unless that's not, you know, counting the amount of bloopers that have happened when I'm in the spare room against the green screen, just recording my lines. And then, of course, like I said, there's the whole editing process of finding that right balance where, you know, the hissing dead air is brought down to a bare minimum. I mean, the editing process takes time, and, you know, before I even put the Incredible Hulk review out, I had gone through 3 different renders, all because one, I'd inadvertently left some stuff out of the credits, one of the graphics had screwed up, and I'm one of these people that's like, either do it right first time or don't bother. And, you know, I moved on from Knight Rider, as much of a pain as it was for me to move on from it, because Knight Rider is one of my loves. But I moved on to something else. RDR was becoming complacent around 2016 and 2018 respectively, although with 2016 that was like a group, you know, joint group decision, because early 2016 was terrible for WWE. And, you know, I ended it in 2018 as well because the writing was terrible. And you can't continue on with something that you're not passionate about. I mean, prime example, CM Punk walked away in 2014 because he had enough. You know, he wasn't passionate about it anymore. It's like, fuck it, I'm going home. You know, you have to be able to be passionate to be able to want to do something. Otherwise, it's going to come across as contrived and half-assed. And then I would have gotten hate for saying, why aren't you putting your back into it? And it's like, I don't have the drive for this. I moved into doing the live streams on a weekly basis because I think they're fun and informative, and I love hanging with you guys. And, you know, I went to put more effort into my movie reviews because I felt like this is the product that I think people wanted, and it's something that I wanted because I wanted it to look professional and entertaining. I'd like to think I've done that. So that's why I haven't gone back to Thunderbirds, because The other thing is, I don't think I would do the original series justice, because that series is considered sacred to a lot of people, and I would have to have researched it properly for the longest amount of time just to be able to do it right. And, you know, with my schedules, you know, with regards to projects changing, because amongst some of the things with IRL, which some of you guys know about, one of the things that's coming up for next year is the 30th anniversary of Sonic the Hedgehog. And I've got a...
Which one?
And I've...
Which one? Just Hedgehog itself?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Because next year on June 23 will be 30 years since the original game came out.
Wow.
And I'm going to be doing a retrospective for that, akin to what I've done with the movie reviews in the last 2 years. You know, like really putting effort into the factual information, and even down to, you know, the reveals and the credits. You know, actually do it like you care. So yeah, maybe if it gets to like the 60th anniversary for Thunderbirds, maybe I'll come back with something like a retrospective. But keep this in mind, folks, ITV are very protective of their product.
That they are.
So that's another reason why I don't tend to go anywhere too near it, because Universal got snippy when I used to do retrospective of certain Knight Rider episodes. There would be some, they would block it worldwide and no one would see the reviews. That's how anal they get. It's why when I went back to, you know, review the 2008 series and the first season of the original series, it's just voiceovers via a static image of Kit with the title of the episode, because don't try it with Universal with things like that, because, you know, they're very protective. Maybe at some point in the future I might do, like I say, a retrospective where it's just using limited amount of clips from the episodes, but I don't know. It'd have to be something I was really motivated to do, and at the moment I don't have the motivation to do it. All I want to do for the remainder of this year is get the rest of season 15 done. And what I will be doing during the Christmas break and the first half of January is getting scripts written up for season 16, and then working and producing like there's no tomorrow, because I can't go into specific circumstances, because again I can't really broadcast these personal details, but I want to make sure that I can provide season 16 next year, you know, as decent as I've done the last few ones, because I don't know what's going to happen moving past that. You know, I want to be able to guarantee I can still go ahead and do this, but there are things coming up personally that might throw a monkey wrench into it. So I don't know. We just have to wait and see what the next year brings. For all I know, this time next year I'll be laughing at it and be like, you were worried over nothing. But there's always that possibility that, what if you need to be worried? So I'm going to be looking into the new year, looking to be able to make sure I can still keep doing what I'm doing, because doing this is something that this is the thing that I've been wanting to do since I was 17, because during my sixth form days I I told my teacher one of my dream aspirations was to be a TV presenter. TV back then, yes. Now, good God, no. YouTube has essentially, provided me with the lifelong dream that I'd always wanted, and that was to produce, entertain, and put a smile on someone's face, because they often say if you can make one person smile, you've done your job as an entertainer. You've given them something to look forward to. And I want to still be able to continue doing that. And it's like I've said before, this is my highlight for the week, to be able to have fun on these live streams and bounce off back and forth with people I consider my friends, and friends that actually validate me and accept me for who I am as a person, as an entertainer. I mean, that's rare to find these days, because you get enclosed speech marks friends that are local, but they don't really accept you for who you are. They just try to change you so that you're more like them, so that you're just playing the same game as they are. And I'm like, I'm not doing that. My stance is, this is me, take it or leave it. With you guys, you've always took me in as is, and that's something I'm very thankful for. And that's something I hope continues, because, like I say, this is a highlight for me every week. It's even better when Win and Kaiju are here, but Kaiju's still in Japan, which is technically dawn for him, and poor Win's not feeling herself at the moment. And like I say, hopefully at some stage, whether it's next year, whether it's 2 years from now, hopefully at some stage we'll all get to meet up.
I'd love that.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Yep. And knowing the irony, we'd have to probably bump into Just Keep That in Mind. Good lord, that guy is crazy as fuck. Because I mean, some of the things that he did on the New York trip in 2009, I mean, Random likes to think of David as his crazy and randomness on steroids.
Wow.
I mean, David is that type of guy that would send a bag of manure in the mail just as a joke. But then again, he's also the same guy that sent the Cinema Snob Guys Gone Wild on DVD.
Oh my god, I forgot you told that story.
But I had a thought, MJ. If we ever decide to meet up and maybe go to Japan, one place as Jerry Anderson fans we got to visit, the Thunderbirds Cafe.
Oh, nice. Oh, another thing David actually did once. I can't say this aloud.
Oh boy.
Oh,
David.
Wow, dude, what the fuck?
no, now just
He sent that as a joke. And
okay. Right. Joke. Sure.
No, trust me. He sent that as a joke because it's David being David.
All I gotta say is this: eat your heart out, Belle Delphine.
to quote you on a past occasion, I got nothing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Hey, mind you, it's not. I mean, probably the more amusing one is when he sent Helsing 920 Macho Randy Man Savage's rap album.
Oh, jeez.
Ooh, yeah. Oh, God. That's probably just as good a place to leave it, 'cause we always like to leave it when it's on an amusing note.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, until next time, folks, I've been MJ Knight. Good night from the night.
Night.
We out here.
Take care.
See you next time.